Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me. Yeah, why would you bet on Goliath when we got Bet David? Valuetainment, giving values contagious. This world of entrepreneurs, we get no value to haters. How they run, homie, look what I become. I'm the one.
Okay, so we're starting 22 minutes early today, but it is what it is. Who's counting? If you're there, great. If you're not, we'll wait for you guys.
It's wild,
but guys, a lot is going on. A ton is going on. We got a bunch of stories to react to. Musk is claiming he's giving $1 million every day to Pennsylvania voters who signed a petition. He pisses off Josh Shapiro. He pisses off all. Mark Cuban gets so pissed that he calls a lawyer and then he comes back and he says, I guess it's not illegal what he's doing. But, he's trying to buy voters, and that shows how desperate they are. CNN Anton says Trump is more popular now than it's been in past 2 elections. Trump launches La Trobe rally with raunchy joke about Arnold Palmer, that he apparently had a big club back in the days. But Donald Trump surprises Bronx barbershop with visit as Queen natives, tells patrons, you guys are the same as me. Weekend pathetic, Trump seeks seats at Mark Cuban's campaign for Harris. FBI update proves Donald Trump was right about rising violent crime. Professed Christian Kamala mocks man for shouting Jesus is Lord at the rally. We'll talk about that. J.D. Vance responds, Lizzo came to save the campaign, and she gets in front of everybody in Detroit. Can you imagine if Kamala wins, we can make the whole country like Detroit? As if that was like
a positive thing, yeah. They're like, cut her off. Oh, man.
And then you got Bill Maher blast Brett Baer with savage insults after the Kamala Harris. And then there was Brett Baer, I think Mark Cuban, and Morning Joe, which was a pretty good one. We'll react to that. Hamas leader Sinwar, cause of death revealed. There was a video of him while he's dying. I think he throws something. He throws a sword. He throws a sword or something.
He threw a sword as if it was going to work.
Yeah, we'll show that. And there was a clip with his wife, I think, walking up with like a $32,000 purse. I don't know if you heard about that one or not, the $35,000 purse.
Terrorism is it's a good business. Apparently.
Hezbollah's drone hits Netanyahu's house. Boeing union reach wage deal to end strike. A hefty pay increase. Then you have another story from Washington Post. Says, wait, are millennials suddenly the wealthiest generation? Nuclear energy hits record heights on surging demands from AI. California oil refinery announces closure after Newsom signs more regulation. And then Conor McGregor loses big in failed bet against former UFC champion. And then Adam's favorite story. He's become obsessed with the WNBA. Never misses a game.
God.
Oh, if you watch Adam is courtside all the time, jumping up. And by the way, wasn't there a clip of him ripping his pants the other day at one of the games? He was so excited for one of the players. I saw a 4-minute highlight of a guy commentating saying, they say WNBA players know how to play. There's another air ball. There's another.
Yeah, send Rob that clip.
We can't
it's
play
incredible.
It, can
we play that?
No, we cannot. We cannot. WNBA loses
Listen, they
$40
could use the
million.
views.
They're not happy. And then apparently, Rob, you asked the question what the audience wants us to react to. They said Tim Pool. Apparently, Tim Pool, something happened. We'll play the clip. We'll react to that as well.
With Tim.
He's not happy.
But even though, I haven't reacted yet to the Trump interview that we had here, we'll give a couple behind the scenes, what happened, some unique, fun stories we'll talk about. However, more importantly, guys, you guys got to realize the story of the day. Governor Sonnen is here today.
American gangster.
The one and only in the House today to react to a bunch of things we got going on. FYI, election night. Let me give you an update. I'll play the clip, and then I'll tell you 2 of the ticket tiers have already sold out. I think the super VIP one sold out. I think the one for lunch is sold out. There's a few of the VIP ones left, and everything else is moving. Here's the update. Who's going to be attending? You need to know. I already said to you, Michael Francis, Samuel Gravano, Brian Callen, Dave Smith. Here's some new ones. Little Pump reached out.
Yeah.
He's apparently attending. You got Candace Owens is attending. You got, who else? Oh, you got, who did I miss? I just said another. Oh, Jorge Masvidal will be there with us. Jorge's going to be there, which is going to be exciting. And a bunch of other people will be there. So if you haven't yet picked up your ticket before this thing sells out, all the tiers, Rob, play this clip and then we'll get right into the podcast. Go ahead. Okay. I got a big announcement to make. And the good news is, you're the first to know, and you'll be the first to be invited. So the property I'm on right now, we've been working on buying this property for the last 3 years. It's one of its last kind in America. Why? It's on 11 acres. It's got 2 hangars. It's on an airport. Upgrades of $7 million made here. That's going to be the new headquarters of Valuetainment, Manek, David Consulting, the podcast, the whole 9. And what we wanted to do in a special way that you're going to hear about this 2 days before I announce it publicly on the PBD podcast, we want to find a way to celebrate this as a new headquarters with inviting you to an event on November 5th, which is election night.
Yeah.
A lot of different things people will be talking about, business owners. What's going to happen if it goes this way? What's going to happen if it goes that way? So imagine 2,000 people being here. Let me show you around. Some of you will have a private meeting with me. That's the elite. That's going to be a few of you. Some will get a private tour of the entire office from us. There's a hangar in the back. So you come up here. Imagine there's going to be a couple major tents, 40 feet by 100 feet, where some of the people that are buying general tickets will be there. But over here inside the hangar is where the podcast will be held. This entire thing will be open like it is right now. Inside of it, myself, the PBD podcast crew, some of the super VIPs will be invited to go upstairs in a section that we have that's got a bar, a restaurant, food, kitchen. You're eating, you're watching it from all the way up there while we're doing the podcast down here in the hangar. So imagine in this room, there's 1,000 people, right? While we're going through this whole thing. Conversation, it's going to be from 6 p.m. is when it starts, all the way up to 2 o'clock in the morning. Who knows? Maybe we'll go 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because a lot of things that's going to be going on. And by the way, do you know why we're not cutting this? We're on an airport. These are planes. We have to hear because right here is the airport. And FYI, messy place right there.
That's called
stadium right behind us. So you got 48 hours before I announce this publicly.
Pilot timed it perfectly.
There's 5 ticket tiers that you can purchase. Each one's got more things to offer. But even locally, there's general tickets to buy for just $75. Bring your wife, bring your husband, bring your family, bring your friends. There's one caveat after you buy the ticket. When you buy the ticket and you come on November 5th, you have to wear Future Looks Bright gear. I'm talking Future Looks Bright hat, a shirt. Doesn't matter. You're going to have to show I got some kind of Future Looks Bright gear because we want everybody here to spread the message and the energy of optimism around the world, back to their states, wherever you're going to be. So November 5th, click on the link above or below, get registered. And if you're watching this saying, well, Pat, I like to travel private. Can I bring my private jet here?
This is for you.
5 of you guys will be after you buy your ticket. Then you can ask us, and that's only available to the tickets at the highest level possible to bring your jet and park it here. So having said that, get your tickets, and I cannot wait to see you. November 5th, 6 p.m. at our new headquarters in Fort Lauderdale. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
That was a great pitch, PBD.
Right?
I got to tell you. One take?
Yes,
That was
one
fire.
take. One take. We're going to have a good time. Get your tickets. Go to 5990live.com, Rob, if you can put the link or the QR code. We are looking. By the way, if that night goes the way I think it may go, that night we may have a hard time pushing people out of this place.
That's what I'm
like,
saying.
go home, buddy.
No,
go home.
No, we want to stay.
It's going to be crazy, but we'll see what will take place. Anyways, okay, let's go into a couple of the stories here. And before we do we want to kind of talk about what happened last week with the, Trump coming down?
I think it's a good start.
You guys did a little bit about what happened. First of all, let me start off by giving credit to the MVP, Tom Ellsworth here. Tom was the one coordinating with Jason. They had the conversation. From there, it led to us doing the podcast here. For 5 days, Secret Service was here every single day. By the way, to tell you how intentional they were, in the back, in the control room, I don't know how many thousands of buttons we have. Secret Service came in and says, we can't do this unless we press every single button.
Jeez.
So our switchers, our guys are like, oh my God, we have to So like, boom, 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 boom. If it was intentional that they had to do it, great. But by the way, if it was like one of these things that you do when you go talk shit in the car, we convinced these guys that we have to press the button.
Every button.
They created a tent. They created we had to keep it away from all the employees. Employees had no idea what was going on. Vinny was saying, so why is there a tent parked outside? And like, look, I think there's termites in the building.
They're spraying. I go,
They're spraying.
why outside?
Yeah, they're going to cover the whole place
Right.
and do a termite thing.
Rob, if you want to play the clip when he's coming in, this is what it looked like when it took place. Go ahead, Rob. So this is in the back of the
Well,
building.
they covered. You know what? They cover it so
The whole
nobody
thing.
can see who's coming over.
We need
the
that-
airspace is shut down.
We need that president music.
The entire Oakland Park City
ridiculous.
was shut down. They were wondering what is going on.
And then look at that tie. That's the biggest tie in the world.
Hanging low.
Thank you, sir.
Good looking group. That's us.
Welcome.
By the way, you guys looked a little nervous when he walked in.
Gonna win. You're
Rob, can you put a clip?
If it's not rigged,
If it's not rigged,
we win, and it's
Rob,
a
put a
fact.
clip of the outside. What it looked like with helicopters. The ones that is this the one, Rob, that you edited?
Yes.
Go ahead and play this. Look at this.
Snipers.
Snipers upstairs, right?
Whole road shut down.
My wife, they wouldn't. They're like, Mrs. David, we know who you are, but you have to park across the street because the interview just started. You have to wait. Fire trucks.
Oh, convoy, choppers, bro. And I'm.
Yeah, it was.
But Pat, aren't you happy though that it's that? I don't know what it was a couple months ago, but right now it was absolutely Homeland Security, a sheriff, everybody, brother, everybody that you looked at was looking right at you, and I was like, damn, am I gonna do something? Like I was nervous for myself. It was crazy.
Yeah, and by the way, in here while we're doing the interview, right? There's 9 people sitting in front of me.
Yep.
Outside of Rob and Kelly. Rob, I think only you and Kelly were in the room, right?
Yes, correct.
9 other people are sitting in front. And there was a couple moments where the interview had to be stopped for different reasons that we had the conversation. But it's 9 people while we're doing the interview. The 90 minutes ends, boom, he leaves, takes pictures. Tico meets him. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe. Dylan's like, that's not. Senna's like, that's not Trump. That's an actor. Jennifer's like, no, honey, that is him. No, that's not. It's an actor. It's not real. There's a bunch of them nowadays.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was great. The interview, a lot of different topics we covered. There was a lot of reactions to it. Having said that, it was a blast. A lot of other things are coming in the future that I cannot announce to you guys. A lot of big things in the future. Stay tuned. We'll announce to you in a surprise way every single time. Adam, you look like you want to say something.
No, I just want to ask you because it was an awesome experience. And I'm just excited for the team. I'm excited for the brand because I think everyone wanted this interview to happen. What was the biggest takeaway you had? You're like, oh, I didn't even know that about Trump.
Wait, was that his first time with Trump?
First time interviewing Trump.
Really?
Yes,
Oh, I
yes.
didn't know that. First time he was here.
Excuse me, Jail.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, I know.
First time.
I know.
Okay. First time, long time.
I watched the whole thing.
But yeah,
Adam's talking here.
You've spent some.
Adam's talking.
No, you've spent time with him. Obviously, UFC, Dana White. But this was your first time you sat down with the guy, and obviously, everyone wanted this interview. What was your biggest takeaway?
I will tell you this: how tense he was a year ago. Not at all. Right now, if you watch him, how he's doing while he's campaigning, for whatever reason, he's very calm. And he's in a very, happy state, which is good. You're only in that state if you're pretty optimistic about what the future looks like.
Yep.
There wasn't that feeling of him double attacking and almost crossing, like, how sometimes he will push a little too hard a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
None of that feeling. It was very poised, very calm, great conversations. But
how do you interpret that, Patrick? How do you interpret that?
I think that's optimism.
Yeah.
I think that's.
But based on internal polling and things along these lines?
Well, if you look at the polling, Tom, if you want to give us an update on the polling with what's going on, because the polling right now, what it's showing, here's what you'll see. Go to the polling. We got Rob right there. If you can't go to VT News, there you go. So here's what it's looking like with battlegrounds. It's even Steven right now, but this is national even Steven. If you go to Arizona, one by one, go to Arizona, Rob, if you could. Pretty much everybody except Wall Street Journal has Trump up.
Okay.
This is 14 days out, right? CBS, New York Times. New York Times hates Trump, right?
I'd love to see Georgia there.
Oh yeah.
So go to Georgia.
And he's up by 2 or
Look
more.
at Georgia. Everybody.
That's a surprise to me, guys. That's actually a surprise to me with this
By
early,
everybody.
early voting.
Early voting, right?
Quinnipiac,
That
Atlas
they've been through?
Intel, everybody. Let's go look at Michigan. Go to Michigan. Michigan, you got Rasmussen's tie, Emerson's tie. Wall Street's giving it to Harris. Okay.
And Gretchen said, by the way, the sitting governor says that you're not safe in Michigan. She said this 2 months ago, and they silenced her. She said, I'm just giving you a heads up. You are not safe. She told Kamala that.
Oh, man.
So, okay, so that's starting to play out.
So she said it to Kamala, not to Trump.
Yeah.
You're not safe in this state.
Yes.
Meaning what?
Meaning, Kamala, you could lose.
You don't have
this is
to-
not a
all right.
slam
Yeah,
dunk.
or
You
she
better
could
come and
lose.
campaign.
Yes.
Oh, hell
Yeah.
yeah. Don't
Yes.
think it's a show. Oh, I got you.
How
And
about
then,
Nevada?
and then lost the unions or, the draw there. But big deal. Big deal.
Nevada, what's it looking like, Rob? Okay, so
Wow.
Emerson
Getting
and
close to 2.
who's got Rasmussen's got him 2+. Wall Street's got him up 6. So when Michigan's got Wall Street, Michigan's got Wall Street's got Michigan down, Harris up 2, and Nevada they got who up 6? Wow, interesting.
Yeah, the world is actually, the whole polling universe is trying to figure out the Wall Street Journal polls from last weekend. Everybody is looking at it saying, what, did you just rush this out? What are you doing? Because they're all kind of outliers comparing to
Everybody
not one,
else.
not two, but a dozen of other polls, including ABC.
What's Carolina looking like? Atlas Intel has them.
Wow.
Tight.
Very
Winnipeg's
tight.
got them. Rasmussen's +5. Emerson's +0.6. Wall Street Journal tied. Go to Pennsylvania, which is going to matter. Okay, there you go. Intel 3. New York Times got her plus 3.
Pennsylvania and Arizona are looking increasingly solid. North Carolina, there's a big question because there's 50,000 mail-in and absentee votes that came out of the hurricane area. Did they get through the mail? Did they get in? And what are those people going to do that actually didn't absentee or mail in? How are they going to get to in-person polling that day? It's still devastation out there in Western North Carolina. And that 50,000 votes could turn it.
Well, today marks
What's Wisconsin? Look at Wisconsin and then give your thoughts, Adam.
Sure.
Atlas until +1.
He's winning almost
Harris.
every one.
Yeah,
He's
go
winning
ahead, Adam.
every one.
That surprises me.
the election is officially 2 weeks away. We are like in the 9th inning of this election season. So everyone knows that the general election is not necessarily the popular vote. Kamala needs to be up +3, like a field goal, in order to win the electoral college. So all these states are going to come down the sort of the magnificent seven, if you want to use a stock market analogy. But if you want to just kind of expand, since September, when Kamala had that sugar high, July, Biden steps down, Kamala steps in, there's all this hoopla. Oh my God, Kamala, here we go. We're going to have the first
And the
female
convention, the
president.
DNC.
The
Joy,
and all-
joy.
Yeah, exactly.
Joy.
Campaign of joy. And then, as I've said before, the more she talks, the less appealing she becomes. The more she starts doing interviews, people are like, I don't want this. Meanwhile, Trump is rising. And if you want to see Trump at his finest, people say Trump is hilarious. Trump is funny. I'm like, I don't know, kind of like a Don Rickles type of funny. Did you see this guy at the Al Smith dinner this past weekend? It was, I think
What's
it was
your
the night
favorite?
after.
By the way, what's your favorite? I want to see what
I'll
because
tell
I
you
want
my
to tell you what
favorite.
mine is. Go ahead.
Well, the way he treated Chuck Schumer.
Did you watch? Did you?
And he
yeah, of
goes,
course,
he
of
says,
course.
the thing he said to Tampon Tim.
Oh.
He goes, I don't think that men can be women. But then I met Tim Walz or whatever that was.
Oh,
And
He was-
period.
But by the way, and then did you hear that? Like, not only did he crush it, she didn't show up. And this moment where it's
Have we
there's
played
always
this yet,
debate.
Brock?
your
No,
favorite?
we have
Just
not.
play
Adam,
play
what
the
was your
top
favorite?
five.
I want to hear your favorite,
When he
Adam.
just dunked
Tom, what
on
was
Tim
your favorite?
Walz.
What was your favorite, Tom?
My favorite actually was more subtle and it wasn't dirty. And he says, although Tim Walsh will say he was here.
But he was. Yeah, he will say he was
I
here.
oh, that's great.
Really
I
good.
thought that was so cool.
I
and
have
it
a
wasn't
different
dirty.
one. I have a different one. Go ahead, Rob. Play it.
I used to think the Democrats were crazy for saying that men have periods, but then I met Tim Walz. Well, I'd better wrap up because Mayor Adams told me
This is
earlier that
amazing.
I needed to make this one very quick, especially the city has reserved this room for a large group of illegal aliens coming in from Texas. There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen
This is
this?
awesome.
White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris? Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me.
Look at Chuck Schumer. Look at Chuck Schumer, the penguin.
A
Look
major
at that
issue
guy.
in
He
this
says he looks
race
glum.
is childcare, and Kamala has put forward a concept of a plan. A lot of people don't like it. The only piece of advice I would have for her in the event that she wins would be not to let her husband Doug anywhere near the nannies. Keep him away.
And he's like,
Yes.
That's a nasty one.
Yeah, good.
Chuck Schumer is here
looking
looking
glum.
very glum.
I like how he touches him. It's amazing.
Doesn't he look cute? I'm
buddy.
Yeah,
really
yeah, you little
glum.
freaking jerk. Jerk. Look at him.
Alpha
But look
move
on
right
the
there.
bright side, Chuck,
yeah.
considering
Demon,
how
little
woke
This is
your
great.
party has become, if Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president.
It's just legit hilarious.
Wow.
Legit hilarious.
Like
He
just
said to Eric Adams, he says, look, I hear he's a vegan, but I'm not sure why he likes turkey so much.
yeah, oh my, he's
Okay, what does that mean? Explain that joke to
Because
me.
all the drama that's going on with
So
Eric Adams and
he
Turkey.
accelerated Turkey getting a permit to build a building apparently
Oh,
for
the
like $10
country!
billion.
Oh, for God's
Yeah,
sakes!
yeah.
Of
Yeah, he
course, of
says,
course. I'm thinking that.
I'm not sure
My
why he
wife
likes
made a
turkey
turkey
so
2
much.
nights ago. All right, I get it. I get the joke. All right.
Where do you think this whole thing's at, Chill? Where are you at with this?
Wednesday, as in 2 Wednesdays ago, I believe that is 11 days. That's impossible to know for sure, but it feels like about 11 days. I felt like things swinged, Patrick. I just felt for the first time, and I have not been the sugar high that you referenced, and I felt that around the whole country. I have been stunned with the interviews, the lack of interviews, but she very clearly did change her style. The Brett Baer was part of that. She's coming out a little bit more. Still maybe not with the right media, but she has changed style. So he's got internal polling, he's got internal polling, and it looks like they're both saying the same thing. Which things are pretty good for for Trump right now. And I you know what? I'm influenced by Barack Obama on this. But Obama came in and told the guys, look, we don't have the same energy as we've seen in the past. And I believe that. I don't think that her voters will walk through fire, a hurricane, Tom, if needed. His will.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to show up. And that is your difference maker. Every election cycle, it's who shows up. I think he's in a very good spot right now, guys. And I'm a pessimist, by the way. That never serves me well to be positive, but I am right now.
I agree with
want to
that.
show you this. I want to show you this, Tom. The only thing is, if you pull up this tweet, here's what I put. And, you know, the idea of staying paranoid, if you can zoom in, I said,
so happy you're putting
I
this
said,
up.
warning, nothing will be off the table the next 17 days to try to manipulate you. Deep fakes, potential cyber attack, power going down, new creative crisis, possible black swan event, fake stories, losing phone service, shortage of gas. They'll create any kind of fear to prevent you from going to vote. This is a time to be strong, have courage to recruit others to go vote with you. Don't go alone, go with a PAC. Invite those who especially don't think their vote matters. You're a leader. Whether you rally one additional person to go with you or 20, future looks bright for those who choose to lead.
Yep.
I think that's the one part where we got to stay paranoid and you got to play offense until, you know, what's the famous saying? Nothing's over until who sings?
Well, we
fat
can't
lady.
even.
No,
can we
we
even say
can't-
that nowadays?
No,
the
we can't say
Ozempic
fat
girl
lady.
that kind of changed.
Well, Lizzo
What
was
is a
singing.
woman,
Yeah.
though?
and
Lizzo
What is
was
a
singing
woman?
in Detroit.
Yeah, and Pat, I'm so happy that that you put that up because you nailed it, Chael. That momentum, because I was kind of like, wait, oh my God, that whole high of the Kamala and the mainstream media,
Sure.
it's completely shifting. He is out there. People are loving him. They're interviewing people that I've seen multiple ones where people are like, I hated him, but I'm seeing that they lied about the good people on both sides. They lied about this. They lied about that. They're waking up. That, Pat, is the scariest thing, is because in 2016 it was Russia collusion with Hillary. In 2020 it was COVID. Keep him in the basement. He's gonna win. What are they gonna do this time? And you have to be paranoid because only the paranoid survive. They're going to do something, guys. They're the Democratic Party. That little Chuck Schumer is sitting there with that little beady little eye. Those are the guys that are plotting and they're waiting for something to happen.
Let me ask you a question. Tom, Chael, both of you guys, just curious. Do you think something crazy will happen? Not could happen, big difference. Do you think something crazy will happen the next 2 weeks? And if yes, what's your percentage to say XYZ percentage something will happen? What do you think?
I'm at 100, and I think it will be bad. I mean, and as dirty as a accusation of sexual assault outside the China Club in 1988, and the woman has finally come forward. Like, it's going to be bad, and it's sitting there. I'm a little surprised it hasn't come. Nobody tried to connect either one to P. Diddy, which I just thought they would both do. They both played that game with Epstein. So, yes, man, something's right for the taking. Could I disclose something real fast, Tom? I'm a very cool guy. Yeah. I know I'm not dressed appropriately, and I know I'm playing on my phone. This is actually the airport who has lost my luggage, which is the reason I don't have any gear, so I have to send that text message. I just wanted you to know.
But that shirt is, I mean, but that shirt does fit
you.
You
look fly,
You look
by the
freaking
way.
ridiculous.
You
Yeah,
look
that
fly.
shirt is awesome.
Go ahead, Tom.
So,
He just said 100%.
yeah, well, I break it into two things: social unrest or something out there like a pandemic and things like that. I'm only about 20%. There's no hurricanes on map. There's things like this. Will there be an isolated event like in Detroit or something? Yeah, possibly. So I'm like 20% on something like that happen. But are there going to be a lot of voting shenanigans? I'm 50-50 and rising on like shenanigans. Oh, the poll closed. This wasn't there. Things like that. I'm 50-50
Day
on
of.
that.
Well, day of though.
But she's changed. The Democrat Party, part of their platform is you can transition. Well, I have noticed that Kamala has transitioned. She's transitioned into a man. You listen to her policies, but the man is Donald Trump, right? Yeah. She's completely transitioned before our eyes. We have a cackling female, whatever race she decides on whatever day of the week it is. And you've got desperation on her side, a lot of desperation. And I see the polls moving. I think things moving, but there's work to be done. If you have elderly people, grandparents, aunt, uncle, and they didn't do absentee, they didn't do mail-in, get up early, get them in the car, get them to vote. Yep. Turn out is the weapon right now. That has to happen.
You know what's weird? This is what's weird. Think about out of all the places Elon could be. Okay, This is a very smart guy. This is not a regular guy. Very smart guy. Calculating, looks at everything, thinks like an engineer, is an engineer. He decides to award $1 million every day to only Pennsylvania voters who signed this petition. Let me read it to you. And then, Rob, if you got a clip of it, I don't know if you do or not. Elon Musk announces to pay $1 million The petition asks signers to support free speech and the right to bear arms. One of the challenges, if this is the clip that you have, Rob, just play the clip. Go for it.
I have a surprise for you.
I love him.
Which is that we're going to be awarding $1 million to randomly to people who have signed the petition every day.
Every day.
Good
from now until the election.
14 million, 15 million bucks. Good. Good for him. That's called putting your money where your mouth is, bro.
That's an economic. That's an economic stimulus package.
Let's go. Good.
Taxable.
So he says this.
Yeah.
Okay, one of the challenge we have is like, well, how do we get people to know about this petition? Because the legacy media won't report on it. He's right. You know, not everyone on X. So I figure, how do we get people to know about it? Well, this is news. I think is going to really fly. I mean, it's a pretty crazy thing to say you're going to put $1 million. Josh Shapiro responds to it, Rob. If you want to play this clip, go ahead.
Let me ask you about a development we learned about overnight. Elon Musk says he will be giving away $1 million every day to random voters who sign his super PAC's petition. You are a former attorney general. Is this legal?
I think there are real questions with how he is spending money in this race, how the dark money is flowing, not just into Pennsylvania, but apparently now into the pockets of Pennsylvanians. That is deeply concerning. Look, Musk obviously has a right to be able to express his views. He's made it very, very clear that he supports Donald Trump. I don't, obviously we have a difference of opinion. I don't deny him that right. But when you start flowing this kind of money into politics, I think it raises serious questions that folks may want to take a look at.
Say what you want about the guy. You can pause it right there. Say what you want about the guy. That guy talks like a president.
Yep.
And neither Kamala nor Tim Walz does. And then this is what Mark Cuban had to say yesterday.
Let's talk about Elon Musk. He's been critical of you. You've been critical of him. What do you make in particular of this weekend's new effort to get people to the polls, that he is using $1 million a day? He's offering up for those who effectively sign his petition and register to vote.
I mean, it's innovative and it's desperate. You know, you only do that because you think you have to, but, you know, using a sweepstakes is not a bad idea. Whether or not it'll work is a whole nother thing. It just as easily could backfire, but you don't know until you try.
Do you think it's legal?
I mean, I actually looked into it. I initially thought it might not have been, but as a sweepstakes, it looks like it may be. But from a FEC perspective, I have no idea.
So, Tom, thoughts?
So, Josh Shapiro looked presidential, poised giving an answer, but that is an ex-attorney general that didn't have an answer. This is the guy that used to go to the microphone and say, this, and this, they're guilty of racketeering, we're indicting them for racketeering, and we're going to shut this down. That's how Josh Shapiro typed. You can go find those clips. Instead, the three things he said, and I wrote them down because I'm like, this guy doesn't have anything. He doesn't have an opinion. He doesn't have a plank. Instead, he says, there are real questions, quote, unquote, Josh Shapiro. It's deeply concerning, quote, unquote. It raises serious questions, quote, unquote. That is hell and gone from, you know what, we're reporting this to the Federal Election Commission because we believe it violates Statute 26. Go look up old videos of Josh Shapiro. That's the way an old attorney general talks.
Very good angle.
This guy had nothing, and that's all he had to say. So he gives the measured politician looking very presidential, very poised. That's the answer he gives to mainstream media.
Okay, so Chael, do you think him doing this, Elon saying $1 million a day to election day, how much of an impact do you think it's going to make in the state of Pennsylvania?
I think it greatly matters. Guys, let me tell you a funny story. But bribing is illegal in America, but it's not everywhere. I was in the country of Turkey. This was 1994. They were electing the mayor of Istanbul. So that's really kind of the leader of Turkey. If you went to a stand, and their stands were all over, and this guy's name was Tauntaun, T-A-N-T-A-N. If you went to the stand and you promised, you gave your word that you'd vote for Tauntaun, they would give you honey with Tauntaun's face on it. And this was very open, and it was out there. And I was talking to somebody about it, and I was only a junior in high school in 17. They said, hey, we just find if somebody comes up and they gives their word, they actually follow through with it. I think the petition is a brilliant thing. I was a little surprised to see Shapiro, Tom, to your point. I was a little surprised to see him weasel like that. He even tried to call it dark money. Do you know what dark money means? I mean, Elon went went and told the world, for goodness sakes, that he's doing it.
Sort of the opposite of
light
dark
money. It's light money.
Quite the opposite of dark money. And yeah, he did put his money where his mouth is. And of course, that's good campaigning. Cuban wanted to call that desperate. What is desperate about that? That was very catchy. You spend your money somewhere. You want to buy ads or billboards. You want to go out and do it. What Musk did. For goodness sakes, of course, it's above board.
Isn't it interesting that Cuban uses the word desperate, following out of the playbook, accuse the other guy of what you're doing? Because Cuban has been nothing but desperate for the last month.
And a bit rude, frankly, about it. Tom, he's been about a bit of a jerk.
Well, look, I think it's incredible that Elon Musk is giving $1 million away.
How big of an impact will it make?
I think in Pennsylvania, it'll make an impact. Everyone in Pennsylvania is going to be like, holy crap, I can become a millionaire overnight. Boom.
But let me ask you, does it make a big of an impact like plus 2%, plus 1%, plus 0.5%, plus 3%? Like, what is the impact?
Great question. The reality is, even if it's 0.1%, it moves the needle, and we're talking 5,000, 10,000 votes.
I know. What I'm saying is, if it's 0.5%, it's...
But, you know, the ironic part is...
If it's 1,000 votes, it's meaningful.
Here's the question. Do you think Elon Musk consulted with his attorneys before he made that announcement?
Of course. He's got one of the best. He's got one of the best attorneys in America,
even
Alex
if he
Spiro.
didn't, I think he's got a couple extra shekels to pay whatever fines it may be. But there's a bigger question here, because we're so used to talking about PACs and super PACs, these political action committees.
Yeah.
This was not a thing prior to 2010. We've talked about the decision that happened, the landmark ruling, Citizens United, Chief Justice John Roberts, 5-4 decision, Supreme Court. There's so much money in politics now. They spent billions on this election.
She did $1 billion in 1 month.
It's crazy, whatever the number is. But, you know, the ruling essentially said that corporations are people. People have the right for free speech. So there's actually a thing, they talk about dark money, but the opposite of that is at a website called Open Secrets, where you can actually see where all this money is going. So I think it's fair game that Elon is given this money, and I think he consulted with his advisors, and the money's fine. It's flowing.
So a couple things. Yesterday, while we're talking about this, Rob, if you want to play this, and now Mark Cuban is saying the race is not between Kamala and Trump, it's between Kamala and Elon Musk. There's a story of Fox Business, if you want to pull this up. I just sent it to you, Rob. And yesterday, apparently, Mark Cuban, Tom, was asked, guys, this is very interesting. He was asked if he would work with Trump administration if he was asked to. He says, of course I would. I'm America first. If they asked, I would also help Donald Trump. Wow. So this is a very, by the way, you know what that statement is? How do you process all this time you've been trashing Trump, and now they're asking you, if Trump asks their administration for a job, you'd say yes because I'm America first. How do you process that?
That's a hedge. That's a very clear hedge. I will tell you, Cuban was pretty vocal in the last election as well. I apologize. Back in 2016, and the day after Trump won, he came out and says, hey, all that stuff's behind us now. Let's all work together. I mean, I understand the hedge. Musk went the other way on Tucker Carlson. He said, I am all in, and yeah, this isn't going to be good for me if we don't come out on top. But this is great marketing. You were talking about how much will it sway Pennsylvania. Tom, I imagine that petition is public so we can see how many people sign. I just go back to
It has to be. It has to be.
My Tauntaun and Istanbul story, but they were saying like they had a 95% that if somebody came up and gave their word and took the honey, I think to Patrick's point, however many people sign that, I do believe that they will then go and follow through, and I'm sure that's not an absolute statement, but they will vote for Trump, and it does matter.
But you know what's funny is that modern day politics, Chael, works the same way, right? They're sitting at a little booth, and instead of honey, they say to a defense contractor, if you promise to vote for me, I will give you this $1 billion honey in the form of a defense contract. So the Tauntaun has got nothing on the corruption of the modern politics.
But by the way, Tom, just to say this, okay, in this situation, this is going to favor you because you're sitting, Musk is on your side. But let me ask you a question, flip it. What if Musk was on the other side? What if Musk is out there right now saying, hey, for every person that does this, signs this petition, $1 million every day, and it's a Kamala super PAC, let's just say. What if that were the case? So now, say this becomes a case study, and no lawyers come out and do this. The left is going to sit there and say, oh, really, this is what you want to do? No problem. So it's not illegal. Great. Hey, Bloomberg. Hey, hey, this, hey, that. What if we now start doing something like this with sweepstakes on who can get the vote? I mean, this is a slippery, it works in your favor right now because the guy's on your side, but you got to know the left is going to sit there and run with it and do something for themselves in 2024, not in 2020. Not that they haven't been doing it with Soros anyways, but Soros has kind of been doing it quietly, underground, and then giving money to some of the guys here. If this actually works, and we see November 5th that Pennsylvania, let's just say, becomes a landslide victory, that's officially a permanent case study. So either there's going to be some new laws preventing you from doing that, or they're going to say, oh, leave it.
Yeah.
Trust me. We will know how to use this better than they know how to use it.
Of course.
We're going to use it in ways they can never use. This concept of $1 million a day to election day. I don't know. Do you think that could happen?
I think
because
that,
all you need is take 5 billionaires in 5 states.
Correct. You get 5 billionaires in 5 of the right states that have this happen. Number one. But number two, what's very, very funny is remember who screamed about Citizens United, the John Roberts penned decision, Supreme Court, that allowed basically unlimited corporate donations to PACs. Who screamed about that? The Democrats. Why? Because at that hour, they were in the disadvantage in the election cycles because there was more corporate money going to the Republican side. So that's why they screamed. So the screams will come from the one that doesn't have the advantage. And you're right. That will be the one they'll say, we need a regulation here. We need to put some guardrails. You'll hear guardrails, protections, integrity of the vote. You'll hear all those things from the one that won't benefit from this, that has less access to billionaires and sweepstakes. The other side will be the one saying, oh, wait. I think we need to reel this in.
Sure. But Tom, this is just marketing at the end of the day, right? I mean, he just found a better way to market. What's the difference? The left holds a great big TV show, and NBC hosted, and Ben Affleck and Lady Gaga come out, and they get out the vote, and it's one of these things. Musk just did the exact same thing. Instead of putting $15 million into NBC and hosting this show, he put $50 million right into people's hands. I mean, I'm not really seeing the distinction here or the problem. I get where they're not going to like it, but a problem? No, of course not.
And it's coming from a guy, Joe, people are like, how do you come up with an idea like that? The guy is putting spaceships that come back and land in a net. That is a brilliant idea to get people moving. Because
no, it got caught with a claw, a big metal claw.
Yeah. But imagine, because he's doing it through the America PAC, which is, by the way, the petition is for the First Amendment and Second Amendment rights. It doesn't even really mean anything, Tom. He's trying to mobilize voters in those Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada PAC. He's giving $100 to voters in Pennsylvania who signed the petition, and then $47 more for any registered voter in the battleground states. That is a gangster move. I think it's brilliant, and I thank God every day that guy is on our side.
And Second Amendment backs her. She carries the Glock.
Yeah, she has a Glock.
Musk maybe heel turned. Maybe he went the other way.
Yeah. What kind of a gun do you have?
A Glock.
I have a Glock.
Yes.
Next. What kind of a Glock?
It's a Glock.
Yeah, black one.
I have a black one. I have the black
one. And it
one.
goes pow pow when you shoot it.
I did hear that Kamala does like the black locks, but here the thing.
Willie Brown on line 2.
What just happened here, guys? Arnold Palmer just walked in. But think about it from Trump's perspective. So if you're Elon, the whole conversation we're having is basically about campaign finance reform. Do we need to get money in and out of politics? So I remember back in 2016 when she goes, he didn't pay his taxes. He's like, that makes me smart because, you're not going to do anything about it. Why? Because all your donors do the exact same thing. All they're doing is lifting the curtain and they're being like, oh, yeah, you might think Trump isn't a brute, an asshole, or a narcissist, whatever it is. But take a look at all these mother suckers back here because they're all doing it. And he's an honest liar is what they call him. Because he's like, this is what they're doing. Look at all this. All this money is flowing and they're just exposing the system. And that's why I actually respect what Elon's doing.
Let me ask you, out of the richest men in America, how many of them are politically and fiscally on Elon's side?
The richest men in America. So you got Warren Buffett. That's probably not.
He's
you
on
got
the
Mark
other side.
Zuckerberg. That's quote unquote in the middle now. But
Number
we know where
4
he was.
is Larry Ellison. I think Larry Ellison's number 4.
He's not public about it.
Larry
He's not
Ellison
public,
is
but you know
Elon's
where he's
mentor.
For sure. Yeah,
By
the way, all you have to do is look at what percentage of Intel's money, where it goes. Not Intel, Oracle's money, where it goes.
Well, just remember
Definitely not Bill Gates.
Not Bill Gates.
When Elon, I'll make this point really fast. When Elon went to buy Twitter, one phone call called Larry Ellison and gave him $1 billion.
Right, I remember.
Definitely not the Google boys.
Well, none of them, because even Elon, speaking of Elon, he even said the billionaires don't want Trump to win because of the Epstein list.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you what I'm thinking with this. Yeah. Here's an idea. You know how I said last year, in May of last year, I said alliances are being created, and I said Trump, Elon, and Tucker are creating alliances. Like, you're crazy. Yep. You're out of your mind. Now this like, well, it's always been like that. It was not like that prior to that time. This is a month after Tucker got fired. You know what Elon should do? Elon should recruit Mark Zuckerberg.
Go on.
And they should create a relationship. And I think Elon could sell Zuck. They come together, create a union and a friendship. Zuckerberg now sees himself more as a libertarian, which there's nothing libertarian about the left. Everything libertarian is about, closest thing is going to be on the conservative and on the right side, right? I have some views that's more libertarian for me. I think if Zuck, how old is Zuck, Rob? 39? Is he 39 or he turned 40? So if you look at Zuck,
human years or alien years, how does that work with Zuck?
Aliens don't age.
How old is the guy?
I think he's 40 years old.
Okay,
Yeah.
40 years old. So he's 40. Musk, I believe, is 54. Musk is worth $250 billion. Zuck is worth $1/5 trillion, $200 billion. 53. If those two create an alliance and a relationship, I think now you're talking. Now this could be a 20-year thing that they can really protect what this great country is all about. Now, I don't know if Zuck is willing to go as far as Elon is, but I think he is gradually pivoting a little bit more there. If there's anybody that can recruit him to a way of thinking, I think Elon's the guy. Because Zuck looks up to Ellison, okay? Ellison is here. Ellison is maybe not as much here. So he's like, man, I'll come over here. If it's Ellison, because Ellison is how old? In his late 60s, if I'm he looks like he's in his 50s.
He's in his 80s.
No,
Ellison?
Ellison's not in his 80s.
Oh, I apologize.
How old is Ellison? Oh, he's 80.
He's 80.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Well,
Excuse
I'm
me.
complimenting
PBD.
him. So
Yeah, he
Ellison
looks
is,
great.
look at him, $211 billion.
Yeah.
He's 80. If Zuck respects him, Musk is there. So you got a guy in his 70s, 80s. You got a guy in his 50s. You got a guy in his 40s, late 30s. He's 40 now. Because this fight is not going to be a 5-year fight. This is going to be a 40-year fight. I'm telling you right now, this ain't going away. And Elon just yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw the story that came out, talking about how by 2054, he plans on having 1 million people live on Mars. Mission to Mars could ruin the red planet, scientists warn, as the SpaceX CEO reveals plans to set up a city there by 2054 with 1 million people living there, right? I mean, this guy's thinking big. So, and I don't see Bezos getting involved. I think Bezos is kind of wanting to. Bezos gives me the vibes that he's worried about something from the past.
How much crap is he going to put up with from Elizabeth Warren before he does turn? By the way, I mean, she's coming directly after him, and he just stands back and does nothing.
It almost seems like they have something on him. You know, like how Usher's like, I'm not going to endorse anybody on The View, and no, I'm not going to say anything. And then the other day's like, you know,
we have to vote for
we
Kamala.
have to vote for Kamala. Why? What happened? Your connection with Diddy, and did they show you a clip that you don't want to? Like, that's the part with the leverage where you wonder.
Yeah.
Because you have to have common sense for Bezos to say, what the hell am I doing?
Yep.
Am I going to be a slave to Elizabeth Warren, like talking to me like she owns me? How long can you take it? Like, do you realize in life what things I've done, Elizabeth Warren versus you? What is this comparison the way you talk to some of us? So I don't know. I think there may be something there, Tom.
No, if you take a close look at Zuck, and I step back and look at it, what just happened with Google? Google is being very quiet. Why is Google so quiet in this election cycle? Have you noticed that? Larry, 0. Sergey, 0. Even Eric, who has stepped out but still has a lot of influence, has said very little. Why? Because they are about to have Department of Commerce, Federal Trade Commission breakup hearings. It's been done, they've lost, and now they are talking about breaking up Google. So who has done slightly worse than Google did in the congressional hearings over the last 2 years? Facebook. They had worse hearings. They had worse outcomes. So why is Zuckerberg suddenly playing nice, almost a libertarian? I believe he is a libertarian by his belief structure, but I also believe right now he is playing the game of political expediency because Facebook is next if Kamala is elected. Because you go take a look at the FTC and Department of Commerce and the people who are there and what they feel about Silicon Valley, they are coming. So I think Zuck is actually trying to be kind of in his libertarian way. And I think a union with Musk would be good for Facebook, and it would be good because he's trying to protect himself because they're coming for him.
I'm not seeing it, guys. I mean, these guys have been publicly feuding since the last 10 years, whatever it is. They were, I think, 6 to 12 months ago.
I'm not talking about the last 10. I'm talking about the last 2. And I'm talking about what's happened, facts.
Let's hear Adam's point.
I will
Go
say
ahead,
this.
Okay, I'll wait 5 minutes.
They were literally about to have a fight. I think Chael Sonnen was going to be the referee of this UFC fight. You had Zuck sort of training, doing some MMA type stuff. You can weigh in on sort of who you think would win this fight. By the way, Elon is way bigger.
He had the movie called The Walrus.
I don't necessarily want to see billionaire technocrats aligning and taking over this country. I kind of like the fact that they're sort of jockeying for position and they're being competitors. The last thing we need is Twitter, Facebook, or Google all being monopolies, being best friends with each other. At the very least, let's keep some competitors out there. I don't see it being good for America.
Rumpelstiltskin, where have you been?
Grown-ups are talking, Tom. What is happening right now? Joe Sonnen
Pat's being very quiet, actually.
In a monkey wrestle right there. So listen, I don't see the benefit of these guys aligning themselves. And I think Mark Zuckerberg has learned his lesson since the last election. Stay the F out of politics. It doesn't do good for your brand. It doesn't do good for America.
I think, Pat, you made a great point. What dirt? And yes, I'm that guy. What kind of dirt do they have on people like that? And by the way, you know why Mark Zuckerberg? Because Mark Zuckerberg knows once Trump gets in, guys, he's going to hold every single person accountable. Everybody's going to be held accountable. That's why his tune changed. When was it, Tom? Was it last month that he came out and he was like,
out and he said that was probably one of the most badass things I've ever seen.
Badass.
He's not talking about it. He's talking about the letter that he wrote. The open letter.
The open letter.
Saying, yes, the Biden administration asked us and we made a mistake and we should have never done it and we did and it's my fault at the end of the day.
Exactly. Coming clean and it's all the people that Elon talked about if Trump gets in, all this stuff that people are betting on that's why they're voting for him. He's going to release all these documents, release all these files. We want to see it. People are panicking, Chael, because they know the truth is going to come out.
Yeah,
they know.
And where's the messaging, by the way? Like Elon Musk has been pretty clear, First and Second Amendment, but I don't know that we got to stop there. Like, do you have a problem with the third, fourth, fifth, sixth? Like, what is it about these amendments? He stopped at the first two. Where does Zuck stand? And that's one of the things that I do get a little lost. Like, what is it that she's pushing or that Kamala has? Or where was the lack of compassion for a guy that got persecuted and they still want to put him in prison? Where's the lack of understanding for a guy that gets shot? They love to go, well, the shooter missed, the Secret Service did their job. The shooter aimed for the head. They hit him in the head. Yeah. By the way, just to clear that up, and I know I jumped off topic, but I've been fighting for years. Anything above the neck is the head. That includes the ear. That shooter did not miss. He just took a bullet. And I'm only sharing for you. I don't quite know where the other side or stance come from. One thing that I will never accuse Kamala Harris of, should she win this election, is going through the White House doors and lying, because I haven't had a promise from her maid yet. I haven't heard one single commitment from her maid yet. And I'm just kind of wondering, like, what part of that did Trump do that you're upset about? Were you upset about saving money? Were you upset about deregulation? Were you upset that he took on the Fed? He would punch the Fed in the mouth every time they wanted to have a rate hike. Were you upset that he would protect life, whether that was the unborn or the born? I happen to believe Trump. I don't think that Russia would be in Ukraine, and I don't think this would be going on in Israel. I suppose there's no way to know, but I don't think it would have happened under his watch. What's wrong with those things? Where am I missing it? What are you upset with this guy for?
But Chael, you're bringing up a great point. You never hear them basically criticize his policy decisions.
Ever.
It's always attacking his personality.
Every
time. By the way, that is fair game. It's not exactly, he's not ruffling any. But once you start, Americans are basically, if you look at the polls, Trump is now up 60% according to Vegas. He was down 52-48 when Kamala announced. Okay, sugar high, boom, done. Now Vegas has his overwhelmingly the favorite because Americans are looking at things and they're like, yeah, there's nothing you could say about Trump that hasn't been said. After he tried to grab him and after the January 6th, and after everything he said and the McCain thing and the handicap thing, what could possibly come out that people are like, oh, Trump said that?
Yeah.
Nothing is going to happen.
So again, going back to it, when you said, I don't want Zuck and Elon unifying, right? Let me tell you how life works sometimes. Imagine you're at a bar and you got a guy that you got into a fight with 7 times and you guys hate each other. He beat up your kid, your brother, and he stole $500 from you when you were a kid, whatever, okay? You guys cannot stand each other, right? But you go in and all of a sudden you find out the girl you're dating is best friends with the girl he's dating, okay? And they're at the bar, and at the bar, a guy calls both your girl and his girl a bitch.
Say what?
You're officially on the same team. Life is very funny. Let me tell you, you want to call America XY, you want to destroy this great country? I am sorry, it's America before Facebook or X or Tesla.
Yep.
Because if there is no America, there is no Tesla. There is no X. So it's kind of like this. I'll have a meeting and I'll say, hey, listen, man, we're competitors. Yes, we're going to keep competing. You got Facebook, I got X, no problem. And we're going to compete in many different areas. Are you America first? I am. So am I. If there is no America and they screw up this great country, your business is gone, my business is gone. Are we on the same page with that? Yeah. Are you willing to fight this one area together? Yes, then let's go. Because if we don't, you're going to lose this. What do you want to do? That's how these alliances are created. It's not created with, we've been enemies for 10 years. Bigger enemies have unified in bigger places. This wouldn't be in the top 50 of enemies worldwide that have ever found a way to set aside their differences and find a way to come together. If you cross the line with the greatest country in the world and you and I cannot stand each other, I don't care who the other enemy is. If you're on the same page with me of protecting this great land, all the personal stuff is gone. We're going up against those guys.
We fight together.
I'm not even worried about it. That's when you set aside your ego, because it's country over ego. It's freedom over ego. It's any of that stuff. We can, even after we win the fight, we can then say, listen, man, honestly, I don't like hanging out with you. We just want to fight. Good for you. You go do your thing with your family, I'm my family. But for this 3-year period, we were on the same page. Okay, good. Job is done, right? I think that's the part where we're in a season that, I love seeing what is happening, but I like the fact that alliances are being made. It is necessary. The enemy has this much sympathy for you, this much. The enemy wants to control you. So if they find a way to get together, let her rip.
And can I tell you this? I don't know Zuck, guys, but he kind of been hanging around UFC, and he's kind of become tight with Dana now. I know a lot of guys that do know him. He seems like a pretty reasonable guy, believe it or not. I got to question one thing, and I think I'm on the side of Zuck. I think I like Zuck. A former friend and opponent of mine is one of his executives, a guy named Tim Kendall, and I just share for you that when he puts out the apology, hey, we got duped. They came to us. We believed them. The FBI came to us. They told us this was fake. We put that out because we believed it. And it's to the point that they're apologizing, but you're not then upset with them. Doesn't that take a little bit of the sincerity off the apology? It would seem like if somebody did that to you to the point that they made you look like a fool, made you a liar, they changed the course of history that dates back to you. You admit and you now know that they did that, but you still roll with them. I don't know. It feels that part bothers me just a little bit within Zuck's apology. Somebody lied to me like that and took advantage. Yes. If I put it on an apology, I got lied to.
Perfect.
The FBI lied to me. They used my media to control an election, and I now know it. I did that to the point that I'm going to come out and say, man, I got duped and I'm sorry, but I still roll with that side. That's a tough spot for me.
So you know who does that? You know who does that and does it all the time? A guy named Donald Trump. J.D. Vance, are you kidding me?
Sure.
Who's his VP? Do you want to play highlights of the stuff JD said about him?
Called him Hitler.
Do you want to
compared him
Do
to
you want
Hitler.
to talk about Tulsi Gabbard, who was a Democrat a few years ago? Do you want to pull up highlights of Bobby Kennedy talking about Trump? Do you want to pull up highlights of all this? This is bigger. And by the way, you're talking to a guy that is more like the guy you described than on this side. I'm like, you crossed the line. You crossed the line. But the more we age in life. And then our stuff becomes like, you got kids, I got kids, you got a family. You look at the world in a different way. It's a very different perspective. So all I'm saying is, if these guys find a way to sit there, that doesn't mean you're not still paranoid with the guy. That doesn't mean you're sitting there and becoming best buddies. That doesn't mean you're doing that. But if you can find a way to know the enemy right now is real, he has zero sympathy for you or for me. If we can find a way to work together, I think we're ahead of the game. I may be wrong. I'm just giving you my thoughts on what I think is going to happen here. By the way, let's go to the next story here. Rob, can you do me a favor and pull up the clip, if you have it, with Bill Maher, with Mark Cuban, and with, what's his name? Joe Scarborough. It's actually very interesting how Bill Maher positions this. Go ahead, Rob.
Commissioner Carol Hart saying, we're dealing with a company, the head of which has aggressively injected himself into the presidential race and made it clear what his point of view is. Yes, because he lives in America, and he can do that. It has nothing to do with this. And, the right thinks that the left is in a very different place with free speech than they have been before, and they're not wrong. They're not wrong. This is arrogant. You don't punish somebody. It would be like if we stopped Henry Ford from making the cars because we didn't like what
but can you take one anecdotal example? One idiot, right? Truly an idiot to stop.
This is not an idiot. This is someone with power.
An idiot with power is not unusual.
Okay, but that's
Those glasses are the worst.
Having power matters.
I thought he was joking with those.
Me too.
Let's talk about why we've talked about entrepreneurs and what makes America great. You know what makes our economy, what sustains our economy? The rule of law.
Yeah.
And that's what I believe is at stake at this election. We want a fair and equitable approach to the rule of law. The great thing about America is an idiot makes a decision like that based on politics instead of based on what their job is, you can take it to the courts. The courts will overturn it, and I guarantee you they're gonna have that decision overturned, and they're gonna have to find another reason, a better reason, a more relevant reason to deny.
And they'll learn
what
a
he's
harder lesson. He'll just move more of his production and more of his launches somewhere else, to Florida or to Texas, wherever. I mean, they'll learn the hard way.
But it's just the attitude.
He's got to be
that
kidding.
I find scary. That they're far too willing to stifle freedoms, including speech, for the sake of safety or misinformation, sometimes which is coming from everybody. It's, no one has a monopoly on it.
Joe Scarborough.
Or just power.
You're saying nobody
it's just
has
power.
a monopoly on it. Come on.
Oh, look at the scumbag. Look.
Right there.
I said nobody has a monopoly.
You said nobody has a monopoly on it, but that's like saying nobody has a monopoly on being a billionaire. He's got that monopoly up here. I mean, he's got more money than us. A lot more money than us. So
Mark didn't like that. Look at that.
You don't get it?
I don't know what point you're making.
You're saying it's
and they clap for no reason.
Well,
there is no doubt.
There's no misinformation.
There's some disinformation from the left, but comparing it to what Donald Trump
course.
spews out
Are you
every
kidding
day,
me?
I
every
agree.
week, comparing it to what Elon Musk is spewing out, unfortunately, on X, there's
Call him out,
you sound
Bill.
like Brett Stevens
I
right now,
don't.
with all due respect. It's a joke. That's a real time.
You sound like him, who looks like Rachel Maddow. Or
Yeah, there you go. Finally trying to be a comedian off the cuff.
But you understand what I'm saying.
I've never argued with that. I've never.
So
Call him out, Bill. Bill could have had him right there.
Yep. I mean, no, it's all good because you're right. Go ahead, Tom.
So you listen to Joe Scarborough very, very, very carefully. He talks about the strength of the economy is the rule of law. No, it's not. It's entrepreneurs that have built things and have built new companies and new products and new parts of the entire economy and employed people and has led to the growth. The power of this is the rule of law. That is a Democrat talking the code language of control. He calls it the rule of law. He's talking about controlling the billionaire. He's talking about controlling the entrepreneur. He's talking about all the things in there that would control it. And the irony of it is he is saying that and speaking in code. And I don't even know if he caught himself and realized it because it's so inbred in Scarborough now. He was saying it in response to Bill Maher having a moment of lucidity and saying what he said about, and they're stepping on free speech, and they're not wrong. And he's talking about that as an impugn on the economy and the people itself. And then Scarborough starts talking about basically code language for control of entrepreneurs. That's what he's talking about when he talks about rule of law. He's talking about regulation. He's talking about doing it his way. You know, he is completely gone, completely gone. I don't even think he could get back into politics. I don't even think there's a votable platform in there.
Yeah. Well, there's
left or right.
There's no country like America that promotes entrepreneurship and free market capitalism. It just doesn't exist anywhere in the world. But if you were going to tell me 10 years ago that on a panel, a Republican congressman named Joe Scarborough, a billionaire named Mark Cuban, and a liberal advocate named Bill Maher, and that the most conservative person on the panel would be Bill Maher, I would punch myself in the face. Or I'd let Chael punch Vinny or Tom in the face.
Thank you, Adam.
But that's how weird things have basically twisted, is that Bill Maher, who's a proud liberal, who basically has no love for the woke left, is basically calling out Mark Cuban and Joe Scarborough to their face, calling Mark Cuban a Rachel Maddow lookalike. We're living in a clown world right now, and we're just trying to make sense of it. And this election comes down to basically one thing. Who's the least crazy? And everyone looked at Donald Trump in 2016 and 2020 like, that mother sucker is crazy. And then the last 4 years of this woke mob mentality, everyone's like, I don't care how crazy Trump is. It ain't crazy as his he, she, they, them woke mentality. And that's where we're at in this election.
I disagree that it's coming down to who's the less crazy. I think it's coming down to right now is who lied to us for all these 8 years, and it's the left. And to have Joe Scarborough, one of the most shill left hatchet men, sit up there and say disinformation, misinformation, it doesn't, yeah, we do it, but it doesn't compare to Donald Trump. That is all that show Morning Joe does, is just lie to the American people. That's all. Their mission is anti-Trump, anti-America, and for him to sit up there dressed like the Joker next to. By the way, can you imagine a road trip with those three? I would kill myself in the first 5 minutes. For them to be out there spitting those lies, and all they do is always point, Chael, when it's them that they're the ones. Can you compare their lying to Donald? What's Donald Trump lying about? I'm just curious.
Joe Scarborough is the Adam Schiff of news, where he has stopped. He is now performing. This is a performance. I live enough people that like the performance, and they're going to vote me in, and I get the power. And this is just the deal. He doesn't even try to be accurate. And I'll just give you one example. And this isn't to dig into it, but come on, I mean, he came out and said that he'd never seen Joe Biden so spry. He'd never seen him so sharp. 3 days later, Joe Biden comes out and says, I'm not shy, I'm not sharp, but I can't do this anymore. Yeah. There's a congresswoman, and she got the job because her husband died, rest his soul. Her name is Debbie Dingell, and she means well. But Debbie Dingell is a Democrat, I believe, out of Michigan. She digs in every time. And she goes on the news, and she digs in, and she says, I'm not going along with this yet. They're going to have to convince me. Well, when they convince you, and it's 100% what Nancy Pelosi wanted, and Nancy wanted it 2 weeks before you, it just makes you stupid. Mm-hmm. If you got to the same conclusion that Nancy got to, and it took you 2 weeks longer, and I'm only sharing that with you because Donald Trump told us that Joe Biden was fried eggs 3 years ago. Joe Scarborough defended him 3 days before Joe came out and said, I can't do this anymore. I mean, it's a little bit of egg on the face, but much like Adam Schiff, boy, you just look in that camera, you move right through with it.
Let me tell you how the market works, man. I watched people in 2016 who took positions against Trump, and they look like idiots, and their show and popularity went down 50, 60, 70%. Because you could feel the rage and the anger, right? You saw MSNBC did that. You saw CNN did that. You saw what happened to a lot of these shows. They lost their shows. They're no longer on. People lost credit.
Fired, yeah.
It's like, man, I can't watch you anymore. You just don't make any sense to me right now, right? Now you're seeing 60 Minutes, 60 years. They've been, the place where you can at least go and see. And I don't know if you guys saw the FCC, is there, Rob, what story? There it is. FCC commissioner seeking investigation into allegations CBS distorted Harris's 60-minute interview.
Weird.
And by the way, 60 Minutes responded, Rob. If you can pull up the response that they gave, unless if it's in this story, if you can find that, they actually responded a week later. They respond, right? FCC Commissioner Nathan Wentz has urged FCC to investigate a complaint Center for American Rights alleging CBS distorted Vice President Kamala Harris' 60 Minutes interview. Symington explained the complaint raises a fully different set of issues regarding whether or not coverage was intentionally distorted, reporting that something was said in response to a question that literally was not. CAR's complaint focused on CBS airing two distinct. We've seen this clip, right? The two different things. We've all seen it, right? I'm sure you've seen it. The audience has seen it many, many different times, but 60 Minutes responded. Do you have 60 Minutes as response, Rob?
I'm looking for that right now.
Yeah, if you just go on Google, you'll find it. It's like, well, one was an intro, one was the interview. In the intro, we used a different thing than we use in the other one. There it is. Deceitful editing, Kamala Harris. This is false. Former President Donald Trump is accusing 60 Minutes deceitful on October 7th. Vice President Kamala Harris, that is false. CBS responded, just admitted doing exactly what he accused them, and then go a little lower to see if the response is there from 60 Minutes. Go a little lower, Rob, if you can, to see if you can. 60 Minutes. Let me see that one. That's the one. 60 Minutes gave an excerpt of our interview to Face the Nation that used a longer section of our answer that on 60 Minutes, same question, same answer, but a different portion of the response. When we edited any interview, whether a politician, an athlete, or a movie star, we strive to be clear, accurate, and on point. Sure. The portion of our answer on 60 Minutes was more succinct, which allows time for other subjects in a wide-ranging 21-minute-long segment. Guess what? Typically, when you have 60 Minutes do an interview, you can go to, is it 60 Minutes Extra? Can you tap in 60 Minutes Extra?
And it plays the whole thing?
There is a subscription you can have where you go and you watch the entire thing that you pay for. This was the only one that didn't make it there.
Oh, weird. Isn't that weird?
Allegedly, based on the articles I'm reading.
Yeah.
So, and Trump is asking, why don't you release the entire full transcript? Mm-hmm. Put the whole thing out. They're not doing it. Why are you not doing it? So, again, this goes back to what you guys were talking about. Credibility for a Morning Joe. 3 days before he steps down, I'm going back to his points he's making. 3 days before stepping down, no, this guy's this guy's that, this guy's this. Oh, and Kamala Harris, I've seen Joe in the room negotiating, paying attention. And she said that a week before. The guy 60 Minutes asked her the question. Yeah. You're like, yeah, I've seen him do this. He is so this. He is so energized. He is so that. So, by the way,
all lies.
Again, Gallup comes out last week. Lowest trust ever in mainstream media in the history of mainstream media ever. Gallup just came out last week. There's a reason for it. A lot of people are going to go out of business. Now, let me talk about the next story here. I'm going to transition. Tim Pool, Rob, you said some of the audience wanted to talk about Tim Pool. Tim Pool's a popular podcast, and he's done a very good job on growing his audience, and he's got a loyal following. Apparently yesterday, you're saying, Rob, yesterday he said he's shutting it down?
He said the IRL show that he does. So apparently Tim does 2 separate shows.
Can you find a clip that he actually breaks it down?
It's like 40 minutes long.
No, it's not. You should find one that's going to be 20, 30 seconds long.
Rob, tell me what IRL means, by the way.
In real life.
Oh, in real life. All right.
Like us right now, Chael.
Like us right now.
Rob, what do you know about the story? What do you know about what's going on?
Basically, what he was talking about was, and it's something we've talked about, is that he, as the host of the network, cannot also be the CEO of the network. What happened was, I guess they built a separate studio that he hosts the IRL show from. However, he didn't build that studio himself. He built the first studio that they do their daily show out of.
Okay.
He knows the inner workings of that studio. So if a computer goes down, Tim knows how to go in and fix it. However, he didn't build the second studio, the one that the IRL was shot from. And apparently there was a computer that malfunctioned. He had to switch studios at the last minute. And what he was saying is that, hey, I have people on my staff who are not putting in 100%. They're putting in 90%. And I cannot make this company grow as both the host and as the CEO of the company. There needs to be people that take this vision and run with it just besides me.
Okay, so I think I found a clip. I found a 43-second one, and I found a 3-minute one. Rob, if you can see which one it is, as long as there's no music, play one of them so we can see his answer. Go ahead, Rob.
But yeah, I think this might be the end. We are.
Can we do
well
anything
off.
with
It's
this
not a
music or
financial
no?
thing. We make a lot of money, but
What do you think?
by piece.
We can fight it.
Okay,
We
go
can
ahead.
play it.
Go ahead. Sounds like an Adele
Structure
song.
becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until it becomes impossible to manage. You know, I'm not. I would never
Rob,
call out
I'm not
anybody
doing this. I'm not doing
personally.
this.
Or
Pick this up. This is an Adele song. Go back and play the other one, which isn't, and I think he posted it. I sent you 2 of them. All of a sudden, we're going to hear this Adele song and start getting emotional.
I don't want to start crying.
I don't want
in front
Vinny
of a
crying.
freaking
It
fighter.
happens a lot, but
I only have one clip in my text.
Rob, there's another one that is 43 seconds that he says he's going to be stopping. If you just go on X and just type in, yeah. So is this
Right
the
here?
one?
Yeah, 43 seconds.
Let's see this one without music.
We had our like, I don't know, 12th studio failure this morning.
The new one.
Yeah, the new studio
Yeah.
failed. And, you know, my attitude with that is kind of just like, yeah, if we can't make cameras and a computer work, and despite all the previous failures we've had, there's not a single person here who can make sure that either the studio is operating or secondary studio is operating. We've gotten to a point in the company where everyone's kind of just kicked their feet up and said, I'm doing what I need to be doing.
Yeah.
And then that just means I'm Sisyphus pushing the rock up. The problem is people are sitting on the rock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of wild, Pat, to put that out there just like that on a podcast and make it public. Don't
It's
you
poor
think-
leadership, by the way. I got to tell you, I'm a little surprised in Tim Pool. He's done one hell of a job, and I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, it's
that's
all good.
That's poor leadership right there.
I agree.
There's nobody here. Well, find somebody. You got the checkbook.
Well, there's a big difference between being a great podcaster and a smart guy and having a great, voice versus being a businessman. It's very hard to do both. So, I mean, luckily we have literally one of the only guys in the world that is what I would call a triple threat. You can be a CEO, entrepreneur, also a manager, a coach, building a team, but also one of the greatest thinkers and minds and conversationalists. It's very unique. Tim Pool, smart guy, opinionated, knows his stuff. I don't know his business acumen. I don't know. I mean, we've spent time with his team. I love Ian. Luke's a good dude. We know his team, Josie. I don't know how it works, but there's a major difference between being a pundit and a great speaker versus being a great businessman.
Was
And I
that
don't know if
sincere,
that's-
though? Was that sincere, or was he just putting people on notice? It sounds like he's looking to hire a COO. It sounds like somebody can step forward.
That's maybe what he needs to do.
Yeah.
Just bring a businessman in, much like Ben Shapiro brought in Jeremy Boring type of thing. It's a unique situation.
But what do you, Chael, but to do it publicly like that, like now, if you think those people are 90%, those people right now are down to 60%. Pat, think about it. That means the whole internal group is like, wait, what the hell?
Well, there's inner conversations and external conversations. That's probably a team meeting not an
Guys,
external conversation.
Go ahead, Tom. I'm going to hear you, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts.
I think I'm reacting the same way you are. Why don't you go first?
Yeah. So look, we've had you guys see this, but you also see that behind the scenes, right? You've seen both. So we've had people that have left and said bad things about us. I ain't got time for that. What I say to you guys, what's our rule? I have nothing to say. We're moving on.
Yep.
Okay. We're doing our thing. You know, you come say what you want. We'll react, but at the same time, we're moving on. Guys want to make comments. We'll do our thing. In regards to something like this, something for him to be thinking about. I don't know how many people want to move to West Virginia to work there. I don't know. Maybe you chose the wrong state, okay? And maybe the pool of talent in West Virginia is not that wide. Maybe you should consider going to Dallas. Maybe you should go to Austin, where Rogan, Musk are at. So when one talent doesn't work out, at least you can. Maybe you should consider going to Miami. Who the hell is wanting to move to West Virginia? I mean, I know there was a song with name West Virginia, and the song wasn't even supposed to be about West Virginia. It just rhymed better. You know the song that I'm talking about, right?
Virginia.
It's a great song.
John Denver, I think.
Right, it's a phenomenal song, and he was trying to talk about Colorado, I believe. And it just West Virginia rhymed better, right?
Worked out well
This
for
guy's
West Virginia.
capable. He's talented. But let me tell you, Tom said the best thing to me 15 years ago, okay? And one of the best lessons, I never understood it until Tom broke it down for me. He says, Pat, do you know the most money I've ever made in my life when I was the CEO founder versus I was number 2, number 4, number 5, number 6 in a company? I've always made more money as a number 2 than a number 1. Tom is one of the smartest guys in the world. My opinion, one of the smartest guys I know in my life. Brilliant, can go any topic, any range, anywhere. He can be a lawyer one minute. He can be a CFO another minute. He can be a talent another minute. He can be a pollster another minute. The most ridiculous brain to have. I don't understand that part, right? But he understands he's not a founder. He's not a CEO. If you want to scale a business, he's going to make more money on the other way around. Tim may be needing to look at where to go. Maybe, you know, I hope he hasn't ruined a lot of relationships where people would be willing to entertain him to go in different companies because he is capable. And if you don't do that, you can find places to go. And the last thing I will say about this is the following. Marriage is hard, okay? It's hard, very hard. A lot of them don't work out. If it doesn't work out, it typically takes 2 to tango, right? It's not one person that screwed it up. Everybody wants to always blame the man first. And then 6 months later, like, oh, okay, so it's her. And you're like, no, it's probably both of you guys. Cool. Listen, none of my business. Listen, bro, all good. Whatever you need, I'm here. Man, I wish you guys the best. Let me know how I can help as a brother, as a friend. Cool. Well, it's not pretty. Kids pay price. All that stuff happens. Running a business is hard. Being a talent is hard. Don't forget what happened a month ago. The accusations about Russia. The accusations about $100,000 per episode and all this other stuff. So all of this pressure could also be hitting you at the same time that you almost need something to say, let me effing take a break from all of this BS. You have to understand the limelight isn't for everybody. I'm talking to Kevin McCarthy. He was here on the podcast, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, right? And we had a very interesting conversation with him. I thought it was going to be an hour podcast, ended up being 2.5 hours. I couldn't believe some of the stuff I learned about the guy. And then we're talking about different candidates. We're walking aside, I'm not going to give the names. And he says, that person that you think is going to run for office in 2028, I don't think it's going to happen. I said, tell me why. He says, because he's not battle tested. I said, tell me what you mean by battle tested. He says, you think that person can handle them talking about the personal life and all the shit that he's done in the past? You don't know that. Most of these people hide from that kind of stuff. They can't handle that kind of stuff. This is very, very hard. He said, Trump is battle tested. These guys are battle tested. Most of these guys are not battle tested. This is not an easy game. So for me, seeing him go through this, if there's any feedback I can give him, Tim, you're actually talent. You're actually good at what you do. You're actually good at talking shit. You're actually good on Twitter. You actually got a lot of this stuff that you're capable of doing something long term. Maybe your ego's bigger than you think, and maybe you got your ass handed to you a little bit this last 12 months. And maybe you need to, you know, sit back and say, who do I want to be in life? Maybe go read this book called Your Next 5 Moves. And the question, I'm being serious with you. The move number 1 is, who do you want to be and what kind of a life do you want to build? Most people screw up life because they think they're Trump. They think they're Rogan. They think they're Ted Turner. They think they're Steve Jobs. They think they're Elon Musk. And most of the time, you're not. You're Tim Pool. If you can find what the best positioning for Tim Pool is, you need to stay in this game because you're actually very capable. And the market benefits from you being here. And by the way, sometimes you think everybody spends the entire day thinking about you screwing up and all this stuff. People have a life that moved on. No one gives a shit. Maybe they'll talk shit about you for a week. Maybe it lasts a month. They're moving on. And the ones that cling on to stuff and they always say the same shit, who cares? Let them be around. They're entertained. They don't have much more to do than to do that. But this could be a good opportunity for him to come back and up his game and recreate himself. And a break sometimes isn't a bad deal. If you ever, maybe it's not a bad idea for him to go watch a movie. You know what's a good movie to watch?
Tell me.
The Count of Monte Cristo.
Excellent.
You ever seen that movie?
Absolutely. I've seen
Go watch the movie Count of Monte Cristo. And one of the greatest quotes of all time is sometimes one must disappear and come back greater. Maybe this is a time for you to disappear and come back, shock the world, and go read the book and watch the movie. Anyways, that's my feedback.
And Patrick, by the way, that was very positive. I hope he hears that because he is a real talent, guys, and he really has grown that.
He is.
If I may tell you something, I made a very similar mistake to this. Now, he did it publicly. Sometimes when that red light's blinking and you got a frustration, you've been sitting on something, and all of a sudden it comes out. When I got out of college, I was 23 years old. I had a car lot. My dad was rich. He gave me a car lot. I got a car lot. And I tell the team, because we're not selling enough cars, that we just won't do this. We're not making enough money to keep the doors open, which I think at 23 years old is going to get everybody to go out and call their mom and dad and their friends and get them to sell cars. It made them, when they left the meeting, go and look for other jobs. It created a massive problem. Instead of me, it was very bad leadership, and it was one of the first decisions that I made. It was definitely one that I had to learn and go, wow. And when I saw Tim do that, I just kind of thought there was more message to the troops where the red light was blinking and we all got to see it. And he's telling someone in that office, hey, I've treated you guys really good. I got a nice facility. I've taken the risk here. I'm paying you a lot of money. I'm expecting more from you. For example, you see me getting up and running these cameras. For example, you see me trying to connect these mics and do these things. I'm expecting you to see me do that. No, that's wrong that I'm doing that since I'm the boss, and that one of you learns how to do it. I feel like that's what that was, and he let us in on it. And I think, Patrick, he can take your advice, and he may need to look for, by the way, a COO. There are office managers that do that very thing.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Okay, now we just gave a plug for a book, 2 books, a movie. I mean, a bunch
and the
of
car lot, and a used car lot from Chael Sonnen.
That's right.
And a used
Buy one, get one today, one time only.
So let's go to the next story here. The story I'm going to go to is Conor McGregor. How about we do that, since a friend of yours right there. Conor McGregor loses big in a failed bet against former UFC champion. This is page 13. Rob, if you got a clip here that you want to play, prepare for it. I'm going to read this here. McGregor loses $500,000 after betting on Renan Ferreira to knock out Ngannou in the PFL Super Fights. Heavyweight champion McGregor posted proof of his bet, which would have netted him $1.7 million had he won. Instead, Ngannou secured a first-round knockout victory, continuing his dominance in the heavyweight division. McGregor, worth around $200 million, likely won't feel the financial hit. Ngannou, who left the UFC in 2022 as a reigning heavyweight champion, joined PFL seeking freedom to pursue boxing. Ngannou faced Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua in a major bouts, losing both. He didn't really lose to Fury, but okay, fine. Yeah. The loss to Fury was competitive. Ngannou dropping. Anyways, Rob, if you got a clip here, go ahead and play this clip.
I don't know if we can show the clip. It's just the fight of Francis Ngannou knocking him out.
I won't do that. Were you surprised at Ngannou winning in the first round?
Yeah, I was surprised.
Really?
He's been laid off. We don't know how old Ngannou was.
Sure.
I mean, like, he was 36 4 or 5 years ago. And I mean, I'll meet you partway there. He's at least 36. But, we don't know. He's coming off a heartache. I'm in that club. He lost a child. Like, that's a really rare club. And, boy, going out and exercising and doing those things can really be huff when you're hurting and depressed like that. Not to mention he took his focus off it. Prior to taking his focus off it in boxing, he missed 11 months because he had a knee surgery to come out. He had a new technique in that. He had a double leg takedown. I mean, I'll just tell you, as a wrestler, like, it's really hard to do. It's really hard to time. He gets on top. He ground and pounded. He was able to control his emotions. He looked really great. And I'm a hater, by the way. And I got to tell you, man, it wasn't a good day for me. He looked really special, and he looked really great. I got to give him that.
Do you think there will be a day where he'll be in the Octagon UFC or no?
No.
Those days are behind us.
Oh, no. Well, his idea of being loyal and honoring contracts and business, I mean, it's just very different. It's very different from the man that sits on the second floor at the UFC. And no, they will not be doing business again.
Even if it was a big day?
No, absolutely not.
So
no.
if there was, for the fans, and again, you're in the world, so you can give a different insight than the one. I'm just purely talking from the fan standpoint. If there was the fight that fans would want, what is that fight? Is it him and John Jones?
Well, so he and John Jones was pursued by Dana. I mean, that's one reason I can tell you when his contract is up, if that's still the fight, Dana's not going to revisit that. He did everything he could, including $12 million, which Dana never made public. Dana let the whole world think Francis could go and get more to box Tyson Fury, and it was a big blow on Dana, and Dana just will not reveal guys' numbers. He doesn't want their friends in their inner circle coming and asking for money. Dana protects these guys in ways. He takes a bump on the chin, but that's the real story behind that. And the big fight, yeah, as of right now, it is them. However, that it's going to lose out. It's going to come back to Tom Aspinall versus John Jones. And John Jones has his hands full with Stipe Miocic. Make no mistake. And sooner or later, this Alex Pereira is going to move up. Patrick, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like Alex Pereira.
Dude, that would be a fight.
Oh, my God.
He's going up.
So you think he could be John Jones?
I think that he could. I will give the edge to John Jones, but I got to take John Jones at his word, who says, I will commit to one more fight. Now, I know John well enough to know he's going to do 2, but I think you would need 3 fights before you get Pereira into the mix, considering he's not even in the division yet, and you got 4 or 5 before you get Francis. Look, let's not even play on Francis. Dana White will not make that fight.
Chael, let me ask you.
He won't make the fight. He tried to make it. He tried to make it when they were in their
got to give him credit because that's what we wanted, and Ngannou went after the check.
And Dana's going to say, I came to do this with you before, when you were healthy, when you were the champion, before you left me, before you did all this. You wouldn't do it then. I'm not revisiting it now.
PBD, when Ngannou was here, he came in with a brace
Crutches.
around his knee. We did an interview. This was probably 2 years ago, 2022, I want to say. And I think that was the last time he ever fought in the UFC. I don't think he ever fought in the UFC again. We saw what he did with Tyson Fury. Not shocked to see that he knocked this dude. I think the guy's an absolute beast. I mean, his hands are the size of boulders. But my question is about Conor. Is Conor ever going to fight again?
Right.
Because I feel like it's just this like, hey, big fight coming up. Oh, it got canceled. Hey, Conor got injured.
That's a good point because
Conor
the first time I ever heard Michael Chandler being critical of the UFC, I don't know if you saw that or not, where he was like, look, I sat here waiting for this fight. And he last minute. And by the way, that's kind of tough for Chandler because you to prepare your training every day, investing money, resources, all this stuff, and he builds and it's like, now what's my fight? I think he's fighting Charles, right? Oliveira, that's coming up, which should be a good fight. Those guys had a good fight last time. Yep. But is you think there's going to be another Conor? That's a good question. Will there be another Conor fight?
And a hard spot for Chandler, right? Like, he didn't have any inside information. Chandler had no more info than we had. I would go to Chandler. He'd be coming to me because I work for ESPN, asking me for inside scoop. So he really was getting his news from the internet. And the only reason I say that is the second he takes the fight with Oliveira, which, by the way, is no longer a main event, he's scheduled for a $27 million gate opposite Conor McGregor, and it's going to be the largest. They've never broken $20 million. It's going to scheduled for $27 million when Conor pulls out of that fight. Chandler's trying to get it back together. Conor might be the most undisciplined guy in the sport. Chandler might be the most disciplined guy in the sport.
Sure.
He did sit, he did wait, but where Chandler got a little sideways, it's important that you understand he doesn't actually have inside info. He's got what we got. Conor trolled him. Conor, the very next day after Chandler signed, Conor said, I'm back and I'm fighting Dan Hooker and we're going to do it in February. And I mean, he had all the dates lined up where Chandler's like, I waited 2 years and you're going to give another guy the shot for 2 months. It's not true. There is not a fight in February with Conor and Dan Hooker. I'm just sharing for you. That is where Chandler got a little bit off course. And as far as will Conor fight again, Dana White has never been in a position, I do mean never, not if it was a week long or in this case, going on 3 years, where he wanted an athlete to do something, the athlete wanted something else, and Dana did not bring that to the public and let them know. I am offering a deal. He's not signing the deal. That guy's not scared. That guy is, and therefore we're moving on. Dana has not turned on Conor, not in the least. He has stayed so polite and calm. Conor has not turned on Dana. Not in the least. They've stayed so polite and calm. So yeah, if Conor wanted to fight again, he could. But Dana has put one stipulation on it, and he means it quite literally. Conor needs to call me and tell me he wants to fight. Conor is telling all of us he would like to fight. He is simply not sending a text message to Dana White. That's just the truth.
Well, one follow-up on Conor, and this is just from your perspective. Conor is the richest guy to ever fight in the UFC, and it's not even close. I think allegedly he's worth $200 million. The next guy is maybe Khabib.
Joe Rogan is the next highest paid guy.
Well,
that's the hierarchy.
Yes.
Dana White,
well, of course.
Conor McGregor, Joe Rogan.
Then you have allegedly Khabib, who's worth $40-50 million. And then there's just everybody else. Yeah. And then Dana White once publicly said something. He goes, once Khabib beat Conor, he got a call from Putin. And then the Muslim world embraced him, and he's giving him $20 million houses. when you're worth 200 million and you have got 50 million in the bank, how hard is it to wake up and be like, yeah, I want to get punched in the face again today?
Pretty hard. I mean, Floyd Mayweather did it. He stayed hungry. Oscar De La Hoya did it. So that whole expression, a rich man can't fight, well, a couple of examples say that they can. And to the point that you used, that was actually a line, well, I believe Marvin Hagler said it. Sugar Ray Leonard got credit, but I believe it was Marvin Hagler that said it's very hard to wake up at 5 a.m. and go for a run when you're sleeping in silk sheets.
Yes.
And
Marvelous Marvin.
Marvelous Marvin.
Marvelous.
Yes. Sugar Ray took credit for the quote, but it was actually Marvelous Marvin. And I tell you that because it's also Conor's identity. I mean, there is things that a man will do to hang on to his identity. I have seen it from the playground to business to, if you have your identity, this is what you are known for, that it's a death. Even if it's a death to a career, it's a death. And Conor does appear to be clinging to that, but without the discipline. When Michael Chandler was clinging to it, he's in the gym twice a day. He's staying away from his family. He's eating the right things. He's looking at the time. He's getting into bed. It's very different. And so how bad Conor really wants to do it as much as to cling to the identity, which he's able to do. It's stunning. I mean, he had a $27 million gate. I really thought the sun had set on Conor McGregor. It sets on everybody. He's got an injury, hasn't won a fight in 5 years, across 2 different sports. And I apologize, 1 fight in 5 years, across 2 different sports. But I just share that even though they had to return the money, they had $27 million waiting for him. That guy is still over. Red Panty Night is still real, and he is still the top draw.
I will tell you, I think Rogan is worth more than Conor.
Yeah, he is. I said it wrong, PBD.
Yeah, I think
it's Dana Rogan. Conor.
I agree.
I apologize.
Because and a big part of it, why I think that, is because I don't see Rogan being reckless with his spending. It's the only reason, because money can go very quickly. Remember, 50% is taxes. So you just got to take the 40 to 50 off when you're making the money. And now Rogan's getting paid the big contracts while living in Texas for the last 2 years.
That's true.
Hey,
and
Rogan
saved that 13-3.
Hey, Rogan made a deal with his manager when he got the deal. The manager actually signed it, and she goes, "All right, now I've been here with other actors and stuff. When you start getting weird with the money, we need to have a word. We got to have a word that I can just say to you." He's like, "That will never happen to me. That will never happen." She had to use the word 3 times the next day.
With Rogan?
With Rogan, 3 times. But I'm just saying
He's eating a lot of
Isn't that great? But isn't that great? Look at how hard he worked. We started a podcast. They fought him tooth and nail. Nobody knew what a podcast was. I was one of his first guests. I did not know it was on the internet. Is it pod, space, cast? How was it spelled? I mean, we really knew nothing. And he didn't want to be famous for it. He wanted to smoke some pot and talk to some buddies, and he heard he could do it in something called a podcast. And so then to see it all work out for Joe, boy, I went on his show, and he had a stipulation, because I was known as a trash talker. He said, "You cannot come on here and trash talk other fighters with me. You can't put me in that spot." And that would have been 2009.
Wow.
Yes, and it was
how long
small.
he's been doing
he
this.
wanted to take a break, and he did. He wanted to go smoke pot. He said, "Okay, I'll be back." And he left me there, and I'm entertaining the crowd. And hey guys, I got this new. Yeah, and then he comes back in. But this was the show. Joe became a man of the people. He endeared himself. He hid nothing. Joe is about the only man I know that doesn't lie. You lie because of shame. You lie because you did something, and I should have done this. I prefer if the story were this. Rogan will tell you if he did it, and he's always had that deal with the audience. It's straight up, Kamala had better not do his show. It is a massive mistake if she does, because he is not scared of her, and he's not going to kiss up to her, and he ain't going to kiss up to Trump either, for that matter, but Trump can handle it. She can't. Big mistake.
Rogan's going to be a first $1 billion guy. I think podcast.
You
Rogan's
think
gonna be first $1 billion?
We got 2 weeks until this election. Is Trump actually going to go on Rogan?
Yep.
Yeah.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know.
Okay.
You want to make a bet?
We already have a bet. We got 2 weeks out.
Let's go to the next story. Tom, pick a story. Which one do you want to go to? We got quite a few of them here. Is there a business story you want to go to? Do you want to do the California oil refinery?
Why don't we do energy in California and also tie that to, we got...
Tom, give me which story, what page?
Okay, let's go page 12, California oil refinery.
That's what I asked you. Okay, let me go through it.
And then let's back it up with page 12, the credit cards.
California oil refinery announces closure after Newsom signs more regulation. Here we go.
Sakes.
All right, so here we go. Let me read this story to you. Okay, Phillips 66 announced it will shut down its L.A. area refinery by the end of 2025, affecting about 600 employees and 300 contractors. Mark Lashier, the CEO, said the closure is due to market dynamics, noting that the company is working with developers to repurpose the 650-acre site. He added, "We will work to help and support employees and contractors." The closure follows Governor Newsom signing new legislation designed to prevent gas price spikes, which he says cost Californians upwards of $2 billion last year. The law requires refiners to maintain minimum fuel inventories and plan for maintenance outage. Newsom declared, we're not waiting around for the industry to do the right thing. We're taking action to prevent these price spikes and save consumers money. Tom.
Isn't it interesting that just a week after Newsom passes and supports the 47 cents a gallon gas tax and goes after and blames the industry. So he taxes at the pump and then blames the energy industry for the price of gas. You see how that works? Mm-hmm. You see that? Vinny? Okay. And then Phillips 66 goes, you know what? We've had enough. F you. You know what? We're closing this refinery that's in Los Angeles. You guys are impossible to deal with. We're still selling gas in there. They're still making a profit on gas in California. They're just going to make it in Houston or in New Orleans or in any of the Galveston, the heavy petro cities. That's what's going to happen here. And this is Gavin trying to blame the industry, and then he costs 600 employees and 300 cut. Thank you. He cost 1,000 people their jobs in California over the next 2 years as they close this because he tried to shift blame. There is consequences to actions, and you can't keep spinning. Newsom, we were just talking about fighters. We had him up here. We were talking about, Conor's career. I think he said 22-6. Newsom right now is like 0-11 on the last year on job creation. Go look at the things he's passed, the things he's done. California, if let me quote Obama, you like your governor, you can keep your governor. But you shouldn't. You should be doing something else at the polls, guys, because look at what this guy is doing. And by the way, last time I checked, you needed some sensible energy policy in California because you have brownouts when everybody goes home and plugs in their EVs. You don't have enough energy in the state. You need to be in partnership for sensible energy policy. And blaming the power companies like Phillips 66 for the price of gas, and they're like, oh, really? Okay, well, what if we leave? Good luck. Congratulations.
By the way, yesterday, Wall Street Journal comes out with an article. I don't know if you guys saw this or not, Rob, if you want to pull this up. Here's a title. October 20th, 15-year anniversary of PHP. Okay, October 20th. Democrats make California a battleground state. What? A backlash against liberal governors in Sacramento is bolstering Republicans in several pivotal districts. Weird. What are we talking about? The GOP is gaining traction in California where Republican registration as a share of the electorate was higher in September than at the same point in 2020, marking the first rise from one presidential election year to the next since 1988. In pivotal districts, Republicans have closed the voter registration gap 1 to 3 percentage points, especially amongst Latinos, Asian Americans, and voters ages 25 to 44. A poll showed Kamala Harris leading Latinos by only 19 points down from Biden's, you ready? 52-point lead.
Remarkable. Holy crap.
Democrats like Adam Gray and Rudy Salas, who are challenging Republican incumbents in Central Valley, are under fire for votes that raised gas prices. Gray voted in 2017 to increase the state gasoline by 30 cents a gallon, while Salas backed a law that added 40 cents per gallon through cap and trade and fuel standards. Republicans are running ads urging voters to thank the Democratic candidate for pricier fuel. It's happening.
It's happening. And guess what? You find out, all you see is a headline. California wins, Kamala Harris wins California, wins the electoral. And if you read in, sometimes some of the most amazing games in history are found in the box score. You found out one team won, but that was a close game and it was kind of wild. And what you're finding here, you go look at the box score, guess what? They're getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And you've got Republican candidates in local, in Sacramento, councilmen, state senators, not U.S. senators, but state senators. You find these seats are flipping. And you've got an entire voting block of Hispanics that are going, wait a minute here. What's going on? And they're losing their support. And they're shifting in the way of logical job creation and economic benefits. And by the way, the Hispanics in California have been far more family oriented. So they would appreciate you get off the stuff about my church and get off other things. And guess what? They're voting. They're moving. And so this game is getting closer. You keep hearing Democrat wins California again. Democrat wins California. Check the box score, baby. It's getting closer.
Chael, what are you thinking? You think California has a chance?
No, they don't. But Newsom's not a real guy, and I don't say this as an insult. He's actually the best politician in all of America. He is going to be the president someday unless something weird happens. They're trying to build up Shapiro. Let's see where that all goes. But I'm just sharing for you that he's not a real guy, and Joe Biden kind of started this, guys. What I mean by that is I'm going to go and I'm going to run. I will change my views anytime that the wind blows. I won't even enforce my views. Joe Biden's a Catholic. I'm a Catholic. You can't do abortion. There's no two ways about it. Joe agrees with me that it's murder, but he won't enforce it, and he says I won't make anybody have my own views. And I go, well, Joe, I would expect you to. You're the president. I would expect that we're going to go by your views. And meanwhile, then you have a different choice within Trump, which is, here's what I believe. And not everybody's going to love it, but it's going to keep us safe. Here's why I believe it. Here's what I believe it's going to do. And I just share for you that it's really wildly different to see the changes here. Like, Newsom's not a real guy, guys. What I mean by that, I know that he came from a family of money and he's Nancy Pelosi's nephew. I know the whole story on Gavin Newsom. They brought him up like they would a king.
I like that.
Gaslighting Newsom, right?
I love that.
I know they brought him up like a king since he was 8 years old and groomed him for this. However, I'm just sharing for you, he's never ran a business. He's not getting the front of a paycheck if it's not deposited into his account every Friday by 5. It's very important that he goes where the power is and he knows where the votes are, not what does the best or can help the economy. And there's a lot of things that voters do not understand. And they do not understand Tom's point about a 49-cent gas hike and then blame it on the oil companies, running an oil company in like 76 right out of there with 600 employees. They don't understand those kinds of things. So that is what a good politician would do that wants the votes. And I think that it's a problem. I think sometimes you need a real tough guy that gets in there. We got that problem in Oregon until Governor Chael gets there. We got 2 cities, one of them being Portland, Multnomah County. And I watched.
When are you doing it?
Canada. Well, I'm looking to get into the very next one, only because I told you I was going to. Against Tina Kotek, she's the sitting governor, and then it got groundswell. Turned out, telling Patrick Bet-David carries a lot of weight with things. So I believe we're probably going to be kicking this off right after this cycle in November. It starts to be the next guy's turn. So I'll have to see where that goes.
26.
And saying that you're planning to run is very different from actually being a candidate. Candidate is a legal term, and there is legal consequences that come on that. By the way, I work with ESPN, for example. You do have there's that federal law, even though it never gets enforced, equal time for candidates. So they could not keep me on their airwaves unless they wanted to bring my opponent on the airwaves. And I'm just sharing with you. Being an actual candidate is a actual legal term, and sometimes people overlook that. But to go back to Gavin Newsom, these aren't real people. They're just rolling with it. They're rolling with the power. I've been surprised that people wanted that. I'm surprised that stayed in there. Kamala is advertising it very openly. Very openly. I'm not him. I'm not going to tell you what I'm going for, but what difference does it make? Joe wasn't Joe. We got somebody else pulling the strings. I'm the face on it. You all know, cat's out of the box. Put me in. And there's a lot of people saying okay to that, which surprises me.
Newsom was a moderate that was married from 2001 to 2006 to
Kimberly
Guilfoyle.
Yeah.
Kimberly
Donald Trump Jr.'s lady friend.
When she was with him, was she a Democrat or was she a Republican?
No, they were. If you go back and look, they were kind of neutral. They were slightly left, but they were neutral. She was not a flaming lib.
Gavin looks like a snake even back then, dude. Look at that guy.
Well, one thing that I've noticed that they do in California is anytime that you criticize the government and the taxes and everything that's going on is they just go to their one major talking point, which is their massive GDP. I mean, California's GDP is a top 5 GDP in the world.
Correct.
Right? So that's
4.
their one talking point that they're always going to go back to. But like Tom said, and what Chael said is if you go look at the box score and you actually look at the trickle-down effect, how many companies left California since COVID? I mean, major companies, Tesla, Oracle,
Hollywood's
HP,
packing up.
Schwab, everyone these getting out of there, Dropbox, Playa Vista, and then you go down, talking about the box score, it's not going to affect the presidential race. We know that California is going to go liberal,
not this
but
year.
it's in the House of Representatives. It's the trickle-down effect. How many Republicans are going to win in the state of California? How many representatives do they have in California? 50, whatever the number is. that's going to move the needle in the House potentially, not in the executive branch. So
they're going to move Schiff to the Senate, by the way. They're going to promote Adam Schiff. That's an amazing thought to me, by the way. I mean, because Schiff is just playing. He's playing a character. Did you see the Garvey debate? No,
Oh, you didn't see the Garvey?
How did he do? I would imagine he did terrible, though. He's a terrible speaker.
Who is?
Adam Schiff.
Oh, Garvey crushed it.
Oh, did he? Did he really?
He crushed it. We played the highlights a week ago. He was poised. He looked like a governor. He looked like a leader. And by the way, this is a loved guy in the state of California. So it's not like we're talking about a lightweight guy. History, baseball, everything that he did.
What are the polls? Has anybody seen that, Patrick? Do you have any idea?
Can you pull up the poll wrap on how it's doing? I mean, I'm assuming Schiff has got to be ahead, but
I caught Garvey in an interview one time, and also was very impressed. Wow, this guy's presidential.
He is presidential. I agree. Can you zoom in a little? Okay, go a little bit lower. Yeah, it's still Schiff.
Is it even close?
Not even close.
Why?
Look at the spread.
It's just
plus 22.6, plus 23, plus 17, plus 28. It doesn't matter which one you look at. Go even a little bit lower. Go a little lower, Rob. Right there, 57 or 34. Oh, man, I mean, the fact that all this article I just read, right? All these things I just read right here is irrelevant when you look at something like this. But the Latino, I'm telling you, the Latino vote is to go from 19 to 53. We're going to have a Latino on the podcast November 5th. His name is Ricky, the Great Aguilar.
Oh, really?
The great Ricky Aguilar will be with us here. We're going to have a good time.
He doesn't pay his bets, though.
Well, neither do you, but let me go to this next one here to talk about the story.
Pay him.
By the way, this one here is a little frustrating. I don't like this article. When I read this, I was a little bit pissed off. And I want to kind of prepare some of you guys. When I read this in advance, your temperature, your blood pressure is going to go up. You're going to be a little bit upset. Breathe in a little bit, and then let's kind of go through it together. It is from Wall Street Journal, so brace for impact. The science of why your body takes longer to bounce back after 40. You know what? The hell with you, bro. The hell with you.
The science.
Writing this article. Who do you think you are? But let's read it. Let's give. Who's the writer, by the way? Let's look up. Who is Alex
Janin? I want to see how
pull up who this Alex person. Just click on a link, Rob. It's going to tell you. Just click on it. It's going to take you somewhere. Zoom in. Alex. Okay.
Oh, it's a she.
It's
Alex
a girl.
A personal health and wellness. Which jumps around. How old is she, by the way? She's based in New York City and graduate University of Southern California. Amazon for communication journalism. Alex, previous breakdown news culture. Millennial Gen Z for now. This Al Jazeera and LA. Okay. Can you zoom in a little bit? Does she look like she's over 40? The answer to me is no. Right?
No.
You know why she wrote this article? She's writing this article directed to her ex.
Well, yeah,
he was over 40, and she took it personal when they had a breakup.
Got it.
And she said, "Screw you."
How do you know
By the
that?
way,
he's
just reading.
Oh, gotcha. He's reading into the story.
Biological resilience, the body's ability to recover from stress, declines with age due to factors like work, stress, parenting, menopause. Dr. Heather Whitson of Duke University notes the whole system seems to undergo like a vibe shift in midlife, and significant changes often happen in their late 30s, early 40s. Studies like one of Stanford suggest two aging waves around 44 and 60. Physical changes, 44 include losing 3 to 8% of muscle mass per decade. After 30, increasing fat mass, which can lead to reduced mobility and higher injury risk. Dr. Sarah Nozal explains, we need to eat progressively fewer calories as we age to maintain weight and hormonal changes, especially during menopause. By the way, this story is about women.
It's about
further affect resilience, emotional stress, and caregiving and career demands also worsens health outcomes. Tom, what are your thoughts about this wonderful story?
40 and falling apart.
Look, Tom's 46, so Tom can relate. But go ahead, Tom. How do you feel about this?
Well, it does. You get older, it's a little bit different, right? The days of 5 times a night are over. You're down to 3, and it's just things go on.
You talking about peeing, Tom? Or?
What a stud.
Yeah, of course. Basically, you know what you have to do? It's so funny. This is like, state the obvious, but she's right. The older you get, you got to take care of yourself. You gotta take care of yourself. And
can I ask you a question, Tom? Serious question. I mean, obviously this story, and we're taking Alex. We're having fun with you, and nothing here is personal. I don't know who she is, so that was just we're having a little bit of fun and humor here. But
she's cute.
But as a man, Tom, we're all about 40 here minus Rob. Rob, you're what? 34, 38. 38. Okay.
And I'm going to be 40 next year.
Right. So Vinny, you're 46. I'm 46. Chill, you're
47.
47.
God, we look good.
He's 45 or
43.
Okay, 44 is what we'll negotiate. And Tom's in his late 50s. Okay, so now Here's the thing. By the way, a serious conversation Tom and I had when I was 28 years old. I'm being serious with you. My pastor says, I got to introduce you to the smartest guy in church. I'm probably 27, 28 at this time. So we go and we sit at this restaurant, by far the worst name ever for a restaurant. It's called Black Angus. Okay, who the hell names a restaurant Black
Stuart
Angus?
Anderson, Black Angus. I know it.
I know it.
Yeah.
It's just a bad name.
Yeah, that's right. They got potato skins there. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
I love it.
Potato
It's
skins.
great.
They're hard to find potato skins.
Yes.
Black Angus in Burbank?
So we go to the one in
bread.
Topanga. Warm bread with ranch. That's just delicious.
I love it.
So we go there. Me, him, and Dudley are sitting there talking. I talk for 30 seconds. Tom talks for 59 and a half seconds, right? I mean, we had a 1 hour meeting. You know what the conversation was? He says, when's the last time you did executive testing? I said, I'm 27, 28 years old. He says, so what? You got to do it. Effectively, when you turn 30 years old, you got to do this every 2 years. I said, what is executive testing? He said, I'm going to give you the number. You go to UCLA. It's like $6,000, whatever the number is. You go there 6 o'clock in the morning, and all day they test you, okay? I'm like, you're serious. You meet with different doctors, eye, cancer, heart, skin, everything. So one person, their job is to escort you to the next doctor. It's such an interesting exercise. I'm sure you've done this. You're an athlete, so you've done.
I haven't heard of executive.
Okay.
I want to hear more.
So I went to this, and then I'm like, wait a minute. So at the end of the day, you're done. You sit with the doctor, and they read every one of your reports that they get. One of them takes about a week to get because it's a little bit of blood work, but everything else. So here's what you got. This is what's here. This is what's there. Here's what you got to be careful with this. Here's what I recommend with this. Perfect. Every 2 to 4 years, I've done that ever since then. And it's the most, I just did one 6 months ago, and I went to it. Again, they do it here in Miami as well. They have it in Dallas. I think the best one is the one in Ohio. What's the one that's the
Cleveland Clinic?
Cleveland Clinic. Yes, the Cleveland Clinic is like apparently the best one you go to. So this is the part when you hit a certain age, you got to pay attention to that. I'm talking openly for me on what changed after 30. You can no longer eat a pizza and not have that heartburn and put on the weight and certain things. You can't do that anymore. So cutting that out, and then flexibility above 40. You know, what else would you say? I mean, Tom, you gave me that at 28, 29 years old. What else would you put there? Because you've gone past the 40 and the 50s.
Yep.
What else do you?
Well, one of the things that I noticed was, you know, when you would work out, it took like, when you did like a big leg day, you know, I would notice, wow, you know, it's not like a day and a half. I've got some soreness, and I stretch in the morning and stuff.
Is this like a reference to a different leg, or what are you talking about when you do a leg?
Yeah, what do you?
Because
no, you're doing like, you know, squats and the whole.
I just thought you were saying 5 to 3. I'm thinking.
Yeah, you're talking. We're talking about the sexual route. Sorry, Tom.
Go ahead, Tom.
So basically, you'll notice that it takes like, you know, like a day to recover.
Right.
You know, and it used to be you're sore in the morning, by mid-afternoon you're okay. Wow, I can feel I worked out yesterday.
You're talking about squats and deadlifts, is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
exactly right.
Audience needs to know. Go ahead.
Yep. And so when you're in your 30s, you wake up the next day, you're a little sore, pop a Tylenol. By 3 PM, you're fine, good.
Right.
Even though you had a big day yesterday. When you get to your 50s, you find out you also took Tylenol in the afternoon because you were so a little sore. And the next morning, you can still feel it. And then it goes away. But you just find it just takes longer to recover. So you have to feed the body the stuff that's good. And you have to be...
What changed, though? What changed with diet? Chael, how about yourself? Like, you're the only one here that's a professional athlete that made millions of dollars doing this professionally at the highest level, right? What are some things health-wise for you? 25, 30, 40, what changed with you?
Well, and thank goodness for them finding out about low carbs, by the way, like, you know, to go on a bacon diet, just for example. And I only say that because PBD, that's been the biggest one. You start gaining weight. You know, you made that reference to pizza. You start to bloat. I can tell you a real effectiveness in water. If you can get yourself, thank you very much, to drink a gallon a day, it is a game changer. You might think that sounds easy. You might think it sounds easy. You need to have that gallon on your nightstand because there's only so much hours in the day. It's got to be in the car with you. You got to take it everywhere.
How many times do you pee throughout the night if you drink a
You'll
gallon?
do about 3.
Okay.
I do.
Yeah, you do about
Got
3.
it.
Now you'll actually, guys, what you'll find after about 3 days, you begin to become dehydrated. That water, as it passes through, has nothing in it, no molecules. It will grab onto cells that do have molecules. You drink 8 pounds, that's what a gallon is, 8 pounds of water, and you will pee out about 8.25 pounds. Over the course of the week, you can drop a few pounds. You become very thirsty. You start to get yourself up to 2 gallons, and I'm only sharing that with you. You won't have any of that bloat anymore. That will go away. That's a trick from the Dolce diet, but I will, just a test for you. Works really quickly. And then, yeah, Tom, I fully understood your point about recovery and you get a little bit sore. But I'll tell you what, the human body seems to be doing a lot better, whether it's vitamins or diet or it's mental. But when I was growing up, if you were an Olympic athlete over 23 years old, you were an oddity. And now we've got Tom Brady, just for example, and everything in between. And most athletes are reaching their prime around 33, which again, back when I was a kid, 6th, 7th grade, looking up to some of these athletes, that was a ridiculous idea. It just wasn't going to get there. So humans are doing better, at least from a sports perspective, from what I've seen.
Well, that's very interesting. You know, the numbers don't lie. It used to be that find an NFL running back that was effective after their 30th birthday.
Right.
The wear and tear that starts in high school and college and getting there was there. Also, find a sprinter that set that the 100 meters that set the world record after age 28. And so you just had facts that you could go out there and look, and it appears to be a peak for the human body on hyper physicality around 28 to 30. And now we're extending that further, maybe not setting world records, but people are being competitive and staying in the sport longer.
Yeah. Vinny, you do what? You do liver every day, right?
I like 3 times a week I eat raw grass-fed, grass-finished liver. And I, honestly, Chael, I cut out bread completely. I mean, once in a while you could cheat, but I notice the moment I eat bread, I can pass out. Like I feel like I've been drugged. So it's grass-fed. The meat has to be really good meat, but fruit, vegetables, honey, yogurt, and just I don't get tired. I try to drink as much water. Like Chael, I wake up 3-4 times a night just to go to the bathroom. It's annoying, but I mean I go right back to sleep. But it's just if your machine, the stuff that you're putting in the machine, the car is gonna last longer. Period. And I feel great.
So look, I mean, for everybody, and by the way, Adam, your thing is the stretching, right?
I think the best thing that you can do possibly is just stretch. Everyone I see that is old, they're always my neck, my back. I just stretch.
That's a song.
And my neck.
Yeah, we know that. Adam, don't take credit for this.
Okay, my bad.
I'm going to start doing that.
Yes.
I can relate with that. I'm going to start stretching tonight.
Get flexibility out there. The one thing I will say is, I drink a lot of water, and I'm the only one that never has to go to the bathroom on this podcast.
Stop it.
These guys are running and gunning and having to take a piss every 3 seconds.
To the bathroom so many times.
It's crazy.
I'm actually curious. Election night,
human trivia fountain. My
on
gosh.
Election night, we're going to go from 7 p.m. to 2 o'clock in the morning.
4.
I'm going to count how many times this guy
4.
goes.
You want to bet?
You know, in Armenian, there's a gift. By the way, to all the Armenians listening, do me a favor. If you know what I'm saying, put it in the comment section. I want you to send this gift to Adam. I'm not going to say what it means, but you're going to know what I'm saying. Can you please send Adam a garshok? Okay, to my Russian friends, you guys know what it is. Send Adam a garshok look, his birthday's coming up in February.
Yeah.
He would kindly appreciate a garshok.
The Russians or the Armenians, or they both know a garshok?
It could be. They would know what a garshok is. They're going to know what a garshok is.
I've been asking for a garshok for years.
Wait a minute, do you know what it is?
Everybody knows that I need a garshok.
It's a catheter in a bucket.
Need a garshok.
You don't think I know what a garshok is?
You're about to be texted left and right by your Armenian friends saying you're going to get a garshok. And by the way, a quick to our sponsors here. After working 9 months with our scientists, we officially have the latest blue pill valuetainment for your third leg to help you out. If you guys want to go to vtmerch.com,
for your
it's on
third
sale.
leg.
This is all of scientists from Tom. We'd like to thank Tom's scientist that has been working with Tom. Thank you so much for that reference. It's very helpful to.
If
to
it
the
lasts
rest of
more
us
than
about
4
this.
hours, please call medical assistance.
Let's do a couple last stories and wrap up. We got 17 minutes. Okay, Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, cause of death. Rob, if you got that video, I'm going to read this. IDF publishes video of Sinwar fleeing with luxury goods before October 7th. And if you want to play that clip first, and then we'll go to it. Let me just maybe reference so people know who we're talking about and the history of what he's done. I don't know if you have that rap here or not, but Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, the butcher of Khan Younis and the architect of October 7 massacre, was killed by Israeli forces in Gaza after a year-long hunt. The body was discovered with a gunshot wound to the head, and he identified through fingerprints and dental records. Sinwar's death occurred after an intense firefight with Israeli forces. He had been hiding in Gaza's Rafah's area, and despite attempts to evade capture, was killed when Israeli soldiers fired 2 tank shells and a missile into the building where he sought refuge. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei declared that despite Sinwar's death, Hamas is alive and will remain alive. Meanwhile, Israeli officials celebrated his death as a major victory, with Foreign Minister Israel Katz calling it a great military and moral achievement and a key step towards a new reality in Gaza. Go ahead, Rob. Is this the clip of the drone catching him?
This is the drone
Go
seeing
ahead, Rob.
him, yeah. And I think he throws like a dude. Look at the technology, man. Like,
he's going to be camouflaged, guys. Look for him. He's going to be camouflaged. He's there right now. He's not seeing
to
it.
the left.
He's in the chair.
Yeah, he's sitting in the chair with the. Yep. Look at him. Boom.
Now, there's going to be a drone that comes. I'm sorry.
Go play by
There's
play.
going to be a drone that comes in. And he's got something in his hand that looks like a sword. I think it might be a stick. It kind of looks like a sword. Yeah, and he kind of uses the what I believe is wood as a stick. He's totally camouflaged. That's because of the missile. They said something actually kind of funny there. They said they fired 2 shots and a missile.
And
it's like, well, yeah, you know, come on, just lead with the missile. just shot the damn missile.
Yeah, because they did. By the way, is he bleeding? Like, is his arm? Like, he's banged up, right?
Sitting at home, fell asleep watching Kimmel or something.
Okay, he throws the sword and like.
Yeah, I'm changing my mind. I think he actually had a sword.
It might have been the sword,
but he's throwing it at a drone.
Yeah, the drone's not.
And I believe the drone explodes, doesn't it? If we keep playing this, isn't that what?
Well, I think it's the missile. I think, like you said, the missiles and the rockets that get shot in there, and he had shrapnel in his head. Well, they're saying he died from a bullet wound, but it looked like his head was.
No. I look at it this way. A gunshot wound to the head and was identified through fingerprints and dental records, which means there wasn't enough of his face left to identify him. Yep. So that is a big old gunshot to the head.
Yep. Not done, man. They play with Netanyahu.
Yep.
And by the way, going with Netanyahu.
He's upset. You said that he's got his house shot, by the way. You never elaborated on
this. A drone hits Netanyahu's house. This is Axios reporting on this. And so an explosive drone launched by Hezbollah from Lebanon hits Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's private home in the coastal town of Caesarea on Saturday. This is the first time since the beginning of the war that a target affiliated directly with Netanyahu has been hit. Netanyahu's spokesperson confirmed his private residence was targeted on Saturday morning local time, adding the prime minister and his wife were not at the residence at the time of the attack, and there were no casualties. 3 drones were launched from Lebanon and crossed into Israeli airspace. Israeli officials say 2 were intercepted by Israeli attack helicopters, but the third eluded them. In a short video in English, Netanyahu has said nothing will deter him from continuing Israel's fight against Iran and its proxies. Rob, what video did you just show? The one that you just had up?
This is the drone, one of the drones that broke through out of the 3.
Let me see. Is this the one? This is the drone.
Yep.
And you don't see that drone?
Yeah, what?
What do you mean you don't see that drone?
I could clearly
And that's what hits the house?
According to reports, yes.
That alarm reminds me back of Iran days. Let me tell you, Tavajo, Alomat Kermez. Yeah, and what do you have a clip of what Netanyahu says in response to this?
Yes, let me find it real quick.
Yeah, if you could. Vinny, what do you think about this?
With the drone getting close?
Just the whole back and forth, you know, the Hamas leader, you know, Netanyahu.
I mean, if you think about it, it's they're showing, Israel is showing the methodical, like, dude, from the pagers. From the pagers to this, it's like here's my question, Pat. They're killing all these leaders. They're gonna the next person's stepping right up, aren't they? And it's not like they're not qualified. You know what I mean? You're gonna take out these guys, and they're like, what did Iran say? Oh yeah, we're not stopping. We're gonna keep going. You got it. And when they say about cutting off the head of the snake, bro, this snake has so many heads. The next person will step up, and it's never. This is again, it'll never stop. You are never going to stop. You could kill as many of these
Can
guys.
I ask you a question? So here's a question for you. Where is ISIS?
Well, they made a little comeback. I mean, they're technically gone, but I think they're already starting to make threats, and they are coming back under Biden, obviously.
So the question becomes, ISIS used to be ISIS.
Yeah.
Like ISIL, ISIS.
ISIL, that's what Obama used to call them, ISIL. He used to pronounce it right.
So all of a sudden, we don't have that many conversations about them anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe under the right leader, they could disappear. Just maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe if somebody thinks you're capable of doing something and your threats actually have a meaning, maybe something could happen. Tom, you look like you want to say something.
Absolutely. People, I think everybody in this room remembers who Muammar Gaddafi was.
Of course.
Muammar Gaddafi was the Libya strongman. And Libya caused trouble, did a lot of things, took down a passenger airliner, Pan Am, over Lockerbie, Scotland, took credit for it, and then Reagan says, all right, I had enough of that crap. You're taking credit for it? I'm going to take credit for busting up your house, and which Reagan did. So, but did you notice what went on after that? Is the CIA and Army Rangers and things and the missions that went in there, what happened to Libya? What happened to the Libya strongman and his militia of death, Ahmad or whatever it was called, right? What happened?
He got killed.
That's right. He eventually got dragged down an alleyway in his own capital city and executed by a mob of citizens. They call that voting over there. So it's like you just lost the election, dude.
Yeah.
So, but seriously, what happened to all of that? Libya was neutralized and done. To Pat's point, you can get after it. You have to be persistent. You have to keep going. It is a long slog of a fight. You're right, Vinny. You can't kill 2 guys and then let all their kids grow up.
Yeah.
Right? You got to get after it. And look what happened with Libya. Libya is off the map. There's still a bad country, but there's no longer, a Muammar Gaddafi level guy there doing stuff. Either that or he's doing it really, 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 really quietly because they said, no, remember what happened to the last guy.
And Tom, I love your point. I'll see you to a more recent example. And the bad guys won this one. The bad guys were the persistent, but the Sinaloa cartel. If you took a job as a police officer, in comes the cartel, one after the next after the next. They thought they could just keep replacing them until they can't. You cannot hire a police officer in certain parts of Mexico anymore. The cartel did win that. So, hey, there's something to be said for this. I will tell you, I like the concept, by the way, of a very bad idea to land a drone into the boss's house where his wife could be. However, I do like the concept of if this country wants to fight, this country wants to fight, then get this president to fight this president. This is very weird that your militaries have to go fight each other, but you don't attack as civilians. I mean, it would seem like if you're in war, I'm going to roll over and do the most damage that I can, but it's not played that way. You just have to kill the people that kind of signed up and break their equipment, and they break your equipment. The whole thing just gets a little bit weird, I must tell you. Do you want to know the number one point to the Olympic Games, by the way, fellas? The number one point to the Olympic Games, you're talking about who's got a great military. When I was in junior high, the number 4 ranked military in the world was Iraq, who did not even have bullets. The point is, nobody knows who's got a good military. Nobody can fight. How do you say, I got the best military in the world? Well, I don't know another guy with a military, so I'm sure that you probably do. Like, I can't go compare militaries, and none of you are good at fighting anyway. But I do understand the age range that you take, and I do understand discipline. I understand hard work, sacrifice, and dedication. So we're going to hold something every 4 years called the Olympic Games. And if you go check the medal count of the Olympic Games and you juxtapose that against the world leaders that are said to have the greatest militaries, it is 100% hand in hand. And that is why we as a country fund our Olympic athletes so incredibly much, more than we do the high schools, the colleges, or the pros are completely on their own. We do that because guys like Putin realize it's the same guys. It's that same age range that either can take leadership, they can take direction, they can sacrifice when they need to and come out on top, or they can't. That's why those are so important.
What a perspective, by the way, right? What a perspective to give on this. Rob, is this him responding?
Yes.
Let's hear what it is. It's 22 seconds. Go ahead.
Prime Minister, how is it going?
Well, 2 days ago, we took out Yahya Sinwar, the terrorist mastermind whose goons beheaded our men, raped our women, burnt babies alive. We took him out, and we're continuing our battle with Iran's other terrorist proxies. We're going to win this war.
So will something deter you?
No.
Yeah.
He's determined. He's not going to stop. He's not going to stop until he gets. I mean, listen, for them to retaliate and get a drone to get to the house, props to them. I mean, if you think about it, if you're
tactically
on their side and you're rooting for them, right? It's like another way of saying, because the way you do it, if you can go straight after the leader of the leader of the leader and take that guy out, everybody else is like, whoa. If they can get to him, they can get to me. So this is the whole when Nasrallah, got killed. The next guy took the job. He also got killed.
Quick.
Then they're doing job interviews. Like, nah, I'm passing. My wife said it's not. I don't want the job right now to be the CEO of this whole thing because I want to be taken out. So that's the part where this is. They're not changing their position. By the way, when I had Trump on, one of the things that I asked him about about Iran is how far would he go with Iran? Is he going to use the sanctions? He says, I'm very fertile. There's a lot. My mind is fertile. And I like the fact he used that word 2 or 3 times, fertile, that he can use different methods. And he says, look, we can't even take care of ourselves, let alone govern another nation. We can't solve everybody's problems. But I tell you, if he comes in and he brings back sanctions and Iran reacts from a place of, this guy is back. He took out Qasem Soleimani, our hero. He took out our Pats and bragged about it publicly, and he's back. What is Iran going to be doing? Will they be shivering? You think Netanyahu feels like Trump's going to have his back more than Biden? What do you think Netanyahu's going to feel like? You think Netanyahu's rooting for Kamala to get elected? They don't like each other. Biden doesn't like Netanyahu. And Trump said, Bibi's going to listen to me 100%. I don't know if you caught that when he said that. Bibi's going to listen to me 100%.
Of course he said that.
If this is the case, and that's what's going on, you better believe behind closed doors when they're saying Iran is trying to assassinate the president, believe the story if it's going on, because they do not want that guy in there because they're not going to be able to do what they want to do if that guy gets in.
Right.
Again, if that is the case. Go ahead, Adam.
Look, they say the famous phrase, you may lose the battle, but win the war. this whole thing started on October 7th. I'm not trying to go back in history, but October 7th, this guy was the mastermind of that. This has backfired horribly for the people of Gaza, for the Palestinians, for the Lebanese, who had no vote in this. This was the Hamas terrorists that decided unilaterally to go in and attack Israel, and look at the results. And, you know, it's kind of like if you were going to fight a fighter and boom, he got in the first punch, and you're like, all right, that's how you want to play? We're going to play this game, and they're saying that they're going to kill you, and you step in the ring and you beat the living crap out of them. And they're using terms like genocide, and they're using terms like apartheid. I don't think people actually know what that means or what's going on there. And it's always convenient that people in America and people in Europe who have never spent any time in the Middle East that know what it's like there. It's a very rough neighborhood. And the only thing that these people respond to is strength. And what's the Reagan doctrine? Peace through strength. So, you know, what's the famous phrase? The main difference between the Palestinians and the Israelis is the Israelis actually have the capabilities to eliminate all the Palestinians, but they choose not to. The Palestinians would love to eliminate all the Israelis, but they don't have the capabilities to. The Palestinians, the Lebanese, whether it's Nasrallah, whether it's Yahya Sinwar, whether it's Ismail Haniyeh, you brought up, who's the guy that Trump took out in Iran? Soleimani, whether it's going to eventually be the Ayatollah, mark your words, they've been outmaneuvered, they've been outclassed, they've been outsmart, they've been out everything around every single corner. And the October 7th anniversary was just here, was the worst and arguably one of the best days in Israeli history. What do I mean by that? Horrible. But they said, all right, you want to play this game? All right, let's go for it. And Israel has basically said, what they did in Lebanon, we've never seen you take out an army with walkie-talkies, with beepers. What is going on here? Taking out leaders of other countries who are sworn enemies like that. They can do it surgically. They can do it with bombs. Israel, if you take, Rob, I don't know if you can pull this up. Take a look at the map of the Middle East and look where Israel is versus the Middle East, and tell me Israel's the big bad bully in the Middle East. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, that's the entire Middle East. There's 50 Muslim Arab countries around the world. There's one Jewish state, and the Jewish state is the bad guy. This is why the world believes that the United Nations is an absolute joke, because you have a bunch of states that basically are Israel haters. And thank God they have America on their side.
Where do you stand with that?
Well, I got to tell you, well, just Adam's point, I actually got to go to Jerusalem. We were calling a fight over there. It was a Bellator. I take my beautiful wife, and the Iron Dome gets enacted. Somebody fires a missile, so we get taken in. We're having a breakfast, and they're ready for it, man. The staff goes into work, and it was just like a drill back when I was in school for a fire drill. They were organized down there. Never met Hoist Gracie before. I'm at a bomb shelter with Hoist Gracie in Israel, you know, talking about, hey, Hoist, how are you doing here? We're all locked in, and it was an interesting thing, but I will tell you this after standing there. And you'll think about it from this perspective, and you will not question anymore who the good guy or the bad guy is. If you took every single weapon out of the Middle East, and I mean all of them, you don't got so much as a butter knife, and you give them to Israel, nothing in the world changes. If you take every weapon away from Israel, they will be gone by this weekend. And that is the truth.
Yeah. I'll say one last thing, because I've been in these bomb shelters when you're just trying to have a lunch, and what's going on here? What's going on? Oh, run for cover. I was talking with an Israeli soldier, and I was like, listen, as an American, he's like, I don't think you understand. You're safe because we're dying. We're on the front lines. You're safe. You don't deal with radical Islamic terrorism in Miami, in New York, in California. You don't deal with it. We deal with it. We're on the front. And he starts yelling at me. And I'm like, dude, I'm on your side. Relax. He's like, you don't deal with the stuff we deal with. So basically, shut your mouth.
Good perspective, though.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So we're safe because there's somebody on the front lines protecting us.
Well,
by the way, it's not just Israel. You see what Jordan's doing, Egypt to an extent. Egypt's not taking in the Palestinians. What's
Adam,
going on
we got to
there?
wrap up. I got you. So you know who's not safe? Neither the Yankees or the Dodgers. This next 2 weeks.
I don't like
because it's
that.
going to be real competition. Do you know this is the first time since 1981 the Dodgers are facing the Yankees? Do you know the tickets? By the way, the nosebleed section tickets for game one, it's not decision game, it's just game one. They're going for $1,000 for a baseball game. Never in the history. Look at that right there with the fees, everything included, $1,074. The lowest price you could find on Vivid Seats, okay?
Awesome memories.
To go to it. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things that the next time this could happen could be 40 years from now.
Okay, Yankees, you got Aaron Judge. You got Juan Soto at Patty's like, I got you. Give me that 3-run home run he hits, which was ridiculous. We watched a live losing our shit when this took place. And by the way, Yankees may have to cut a $600 million check to that guy, and he may be the second highest paid guy aside from Ohtani. Now on the other side, you got the Dodgers, okay? And you got one guy here whose name is Thomas Ellsworth, okay? The other day, I was praying to God.
Yep.
And somehow, some way, one of the prayers intersected. Yeah. And I heard Tom's prayer. And Tom was praying for the Dodgers over the Yankees. And I don't know how, you know how sometimes phone lines intersect? And Tom's a diehard Dodgers fan. Big time Steve Garvey and all this other stuff. And it was like this prayers were intersecting. And I heard Tom say he wants the Yankees to lose. How do you feel about something like that?
And you guys have known each other for how long with church? Look, he knows you're a minority owner.
Look, all that matters is that.
And also a part owner.
But here's what I will tell you. Here's what we'll tell you. We're going to be in New York next week at a deciding game. And stick around Thursday. I may announce something for some of you guys to be able to participate. And it's going to be interesting. So stay tuned between now and Thursday. We're talking to the lawyers to see if we can do this or not. We may give one ticket away that you come with us at the suite in the flesh, hanging out with us all day. We're going to have some unique friends there as well with us. So,
we're going to talk to a lawyer, PBD?
Yeah, we have to.
Come on. Can we talk to an owner?
Do you know why we started 22 minutes late?
Tell me.
Everybody was early today. The reason why we started 22 minutes, let me say it again. The reason why we started 22 minutes early today is because we were trying to make this announcement, whether we can or not. We'll find out on Thursday. But here's what I could tell you. On the podcast with President Trump, he was kind enough to sign this, a Future Looks Bright hat. This is one of one, just so you know that. I will sign it as well, and we have the winner here. And the winner is of the Trump signed hat from Myrtle Beach, California. Okay, of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Beautiful place. Myrtle Beach, California.
Look at that
like Newport Beach. Goes to Radim Socorra. Radim, congratulations.
Radim.
This hat will be sent over your way. Excited about that. And then on Thursday, if I'm able to make this announcement about the Yankees, these tickets that are at the suite are not $1,000 tickets. They're very, very hefty. But some of you guys may, God willing, if Tom can talk to the lawyers, we can figure this out. We may announce something very special on Thursday. Stay tuned for it. We'd love to spend time with you guys. But for those of you guys that are baseball fans, especially Yankees, Dodgers fans, I think this is going to get I hope it goes Game 7. I hope it does. Now, listen, if it goes Game 6 and Yankees win, I'd prefer that. If it goes Game 4, Yankees win, I prefer that. If it goes 5-6 and they win, I prefer that. But if it's not and we make a comeback and goes Game 7, holy freaking moly. Wow. Right? Holy moly. And on Thursday, we're going to release 18 new styles of Future Looks Bright hats. So stay tuned for that. Guys, it's always phenomenal to have. Chael feels like home team.
I love
Honestly, Chael feels like he's one of us. Like, seriously, Chael's here just
we
can have Chael on every day. And if you want to connect Chael and you want to send him some love, that's his Connect QR code. Send him a message. He'll respond back to you. But having said that, God bless everybody. We'll do it again Thursday. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.